So it's almost like you got this, classic boy band that's back together, so happy. Like you can tell, like if you watch some bands, it's like playing the same song for the last 40 years. They were like, "This is amazing," and everybody's in costume more or less. So that atmosphere
It was total vibe.
it was the only thing I could compare it to is if you went to like opening night of a Star Wars, highly anticipated Star Wars movie with everybody dressed up as Star Wars.
Right.
It's like
Sounds awesome. I didn't hear about that part of it. That sounds amazing.
it was cool, and it's like you've been there, so it's like sometimes you're like, okay, I gotta look over here and see the seats, so I don't feel like I'm falling forward and all that. Right.
So Fish debuted new technology at the Sphere that
Okay, they can see me.
they're actually doing their live light show
Okay,
on the screens in real time.
that's pretty cool. That's awesome. I'm good. Good to see you too. Yes. Yep. That's good. Yeah. Thank you. This group is okay. This is okay. Yeah. Yes, they are. Absolutely. It's the life of an agent.
Okay, shall we start?
Go for it.
Hello. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. All right. Today we have a very special guest, Patrick Woods, who is our regional director, who's going to share some very insightful information with us.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
So take it away.
Take it away.
Okay. How's everybody doing? I appreciate the claps. Thank you. Yeah, we got Mr. Steve back there. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I'm doing great. Who would have thunk after all these years I'd be in a regional director role? It's just like at one point I was like, when would I ever become a team leader? Then I did that for 10 years. So, okay, so my name is Patrick Woods, and I am from the Sacramento area. So my family and I live in Roseville. I've been with Keller Williams. April 1st was my 20th anniversary of Keller Williams. Yeah, so kind of weird to have your anniversary day on April Fool's Day. What's that? Same KW birthday? I love it. I love it.
April 1st is not considered as a good day because, April Fool, but for us it's a good day.
It's a great day. It's a great day. Changed my life. So I've been at Keller Williams for 20 years, and I started in real estate in probably about 25 years ago. So in Keller Williams, I've been an agent, I've been a team leader, I've been a general manager, I've been a MAPS coach, I've been a BOLD coach, I've been an OP. I'm currently an OP. I have 3 market centers. I'm about to take on a 4th market center. And then, and Steve's like, "Are you crazy?" Right? So I'm about to take on a 4th market center, and then I travel around the country. I speak and train on the Leverage series. So you might have heard of some of those courses like career visioning. I do business planning clinic. And then also now I'm apparently the regional director.
Apparently.
So I started that in January. And I flew. What's that?
Such a slap.
I know, right? As if I didn't have enough going on. Yeah, so I became the RD in January, so it's really horrible. I have to go to Hawaii once in a while.
Aww.
Yeah, everybody feels really bad for me. So we actually did Red Day in Hawaii, and that was pretty cool. So I wasn't able to do Red Day with my market centers, but I got to do it in Hawaii, so it was okay. All right. I know, poor me. Should we get going?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is just kind of like a little history of Keller Williams. I'm going to be brief on that, and then also where the company's going. And I'm also going to dive into a little bit of market stats. So I geek out on data and stats. So Stephen, you had the chance to see this already before. So I've updated like 2 slides. So you're going to have mostly a repeat. So.
Just being here with you, Patrick.
Oh. So I geek out on market stats because I want to know where the market's going, and I'm really passionate about our agents being the local economists of choice, right? The world is changing because of this thing called AI. It already has changed, and it's going to change even more. So when I first got into real estate, they had websites, I sound like the people when I got into real estate, it was like, back in my day, they used to drop off the MLS book every morning. Now I'm going back in my day. So when I started in real estate, we had websites obviously, but we didn't have IDX and feeds out to the consumer. And so if you think about the change that happened, previously the consumer had to go to the grocery store to get the magazine. They had to look in the Sunday paper to see what was for sale, or they had to talk to a realtor. And so the barrier to entry was us. That was our part of our value proposition. Then the portals came out and it took away that leg of our value proposition, and everybody had to get better at their unique selling point, right? Because the consumer could see whatever was available. And back then it used to be update between 24 and 72 hours. Now it's like every 3 minutes the sites are updating. So the consumer in a lot of ways is actually more savvy from a micro standpoint, that they know what they're looking for, they know what houses are out there. It's impossible for us to know everything that's on the market. So we might go on a listing presentation, they go, what about the house that sold last week 3 doors down? And we completely missed that one, right? But we have scripts to accommodate for that now. Now with where AI is going, do you guys hear about the guy that sold his house in Florida using ChatGPT? Yeah, not everybody heard about that? Oh my goodness. The guy in Florida sold his house with ChatGPT. So he literally went on ChatGPT and said, okay, I want to sell my house. What do I need to do? What do I need to improve on the house to get the most value out of it? How do I get it marketed? How do I put it on the MLS? Walked him through the whole process, and he sold his house, I think, in 5 days. Right? Scary? A few weeks later, the broker, what's that? Without an agent, a FSBO using ChatGPT to help him. Yeah, it told him like, oh, you want to repaint this room and use neutral colors, like pretty standard stuff. The thing most people didn't hear was that the broker on the other side of the deal, the one that the buyer's agent worked with, put out a blog post saying, here's what actually happened on the other side of it, because his story made national news. What she says, he left anywhere between $70,000 and $250,000 on the table. And he was calling us every day asking for help. Now, we know ChatGPT is pretty dang good. Is it always accurate? No. It never hallucinates, right? Nobody's ever had that experience where it's like, give me an answer to this. And you go, wait, I thought it was this. It goes, you're absolutely correct. And rewrites the whole thing. Anybody experience that?
Yes.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that we're like, AI is good, but it's not perfect. At some point it will be. It's just going to be that good. Like, it's possible for our seller and our buyer to put the same question in with slightly different context and get completely different answers. But at some point it's going to be so accurate. And where I'm going with this is, just like we had to level up when the portals came out and the MLS was out there for the agents or for the consumers to see, the stuff that we leveled up to say we're great at negotiations, we're great at contracts. The consumer is going to have instant access to that stuff as well. And so that's why I get passionate about market stats, because I look at real estate for us to be more like a financial advisor, helping people make wise decisions for their financial future through home ownership. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna dive in. So when I joined Keller Williams was Keller who?
Yes.
What was that, a paint company? Right? And they were blowing up. It was just awesome to see. They were a disruptor. They were the maverick. They were turning the industry upside down. And they were teaching people how to build businesses, not just how to sell houses. I've had people in my market centers come to me and say, Patrick, the conversations at the kitchen table with my family have changed forever because of this company. Pretty cool, right? To have people having totally different conversations about their futures and where they're going because of this company. And then the world changed. What happened? And this has happened probably in the last 6 or 7 years. Our competitors have access to financial institutions, private equity, all this kind of stuff, and they were able to. I won't call you out in front of everybody. No. No, you're totally good. So our competitors had access to these financial institutions and more money and more capital, and so they were able to start moving a little bit faster. And the challenge that we had was Keller Williams. Gary Keller used to stand up on stage and he'd go, we are a privately held company and completely debt-free. And that was a badge of honor. It was something that we're very proud of, and it was our selling point and our strength until it wasn't. And what happened is we ended up in this spot where we were debt-free, and not privately held, but all these companies have more access to capital and can move a little bit faster. The reason why I'm sharing that with you is because just a little over a year ago, we got into business with a company called Stone Point Capital. You may have heard about this. The reason why I'm sharing this is because in this whole year, a lot of people don't know what's happened behind the scenes and what that's done and how it's going to eventually trickle down to where you all will feel it. They have come in, remember a couple years ago we had this lawsuit, Sitzer Burnett? What was our settlement? Anybody know?
25 million? No. Oh, it's not. 75?
$70 million.
Oh, 70.
Can you imagine writing that check? Pretty crazy. And then just recently there was, so we had the seller side of that, all of a sudden we have the buyer side of that coming out, and Stone Point Capital went out and just settled that for $20 million. So having the ability to just get these things taken off our plate so it's no longer a concern for the franchise owners and the associates in those brokerages, it's huge. Stone Point has also invested another $50 million into innovation and technology and resources. They also own a company called Cotality, which is one of the best data providers, period, above and beyond just real estate out there. They provide the back end to about 85% of the MLSs in the country. Okay? I'm sharing this with you because we're going to see rapid evolution of this company, and it puts us back in the disruptor seat. Okay? And where I think we really saw it. How many of you went to family reunion? Okay. Was that a great family reunion?
Yeah, it was good.
Outside of, I prefer other places to Atlanta. I will say if you went to Atlanta the first time, this was a much better experience. Agreed, Steve? Yep. So if you went to family reunion, that was the first time that we really had an experience of what Stone Point brings to the table. We had this, who was our keynote speaker?
Gary V.
Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty, yeah.
Jay Shetty was our keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Then we had this little subset event called Social Media Con that had its own keynote speaker. That was
Gary V.
Gary V. Anybody, if you don't know who Gary V is not the keynote speaker of a little subset event. He is the keynote speaker of the event. And for Keller Williams and Stone Point to go out there and say, we're going to make sure this thing is off the rails good, I think it was the first glimpse of them wanting to make sure that they were adding value at the agent level to get more results. And what they did was they promoted it and they tracked every step of the way. So they announced Jay Shetty, they're going to check and see how many people registered. They announced Gary V, they check and see how many people are registered. The reason they did that is they want to see what's adding value, which I thought was one of the coolest things. Not that we haven't done that in the past, but we're doing it at a whole new level. And with all due respect to the previous administration, it felt like the real executives were in charge on how to make sure this company is delivering value. Because at the end of the day, the only way that KWRI makes money is successful is if the franchise owners are successful. And the only way that the franchise owners are successful is if everybody in this room is successful. Follow that? So from the top all the way down, it's our job to make sure that you guys are accomplishing your goals of careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. Okay? Talked about that. Okay, a little bit of stats. You guys ready to geek out a little bit?
Yay.
Steven is. All right, so this is, we've got, the green line is wage growth. The red line is CPI and inflation. The blue line is the Fed funds rate. Fed funds rate is in a lot of conversations lately. Inflation's come back to the conversation. This is COVID. This is when they started raising rates. Remember when COVID hit and we had the great resignation? Everybody was leaving their job to go do another job and make more money. The cost of everything went up like crazy. That's what we saw spike right here, and then what led right after that is inflation. In hindsight, looking back, because this inflation, it didn't just impact the price of eggs, right? It impacted our housing. We had really crazy low interest rates. People had more money. The demand went through the roof. What happened to affordability? Right? It was much harder to get into a home. So I think in hindsight, for all of us Monday morning quarterbacks, we wish this blue line would have started to go up a little bit sooner. Now, I wasn't screaming, hey, we need to raise the Fed funds rate back here. I've gotten a heck of an education since all this has happened. I think a lot of us would say if we did that earlier, appreciation wouldn't have been as steep and affordability would be a little bit better right now.
And also, wages did not keep up with inflation during that time.
Not even
But
close.
notice wages are ahead of inflation at every other time.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fed fund rate actually put people behind in their relative wealth.
Great point. Yeah, it's an interesting world that we've been in for the last 7 years, 6-7 years. Okay. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because it's important to know where we were to understand why we are where we are today and potentially where we're going. And this goes back to us being the local economist of choice and how we're going to help do a proper needs analysis with our consumer and guide them on the home ownership journey. Okay. So when I show you this article, house prices outpace income growth over the past 40 years, what do you think?
People can't afford to buy the homes they bought.
But what about stocks?
What-
Like the gains in stocks?
I'll hit on that
Okay.
for sure. Because that's a very valid point. It's a big question, right? So a lot of people, when I show this article or whatever we want to call it here, they think, I can't afford to buy a home. What I see when I see that is I say, you can't afford to not buy a home. If home prices outpace income growth over the past 40 years and you want to protect your wealth, you better flipping buy a home.
Yeah.
Right?
Look at that.
What I will say is in the last year, because of everything that's happened, wage growth has actually outpaced home appreciation in a large part of the country for the first time in like 20, 30 years. Anybody see these articles or these posts? All about the first time home buyer median age is now 40 years old. You guys see that one? Used to be 28, now it's 40.
Yeah.
First time home buyers, 50% are married couples, 25% are single women, only 10% are single men.
But that's only 85%.
That's of the total amount. I don't know what the other percentage is. though.
15% of the people are missing.
Something, it's other.
Unmarried couples, maybe?
Who knows? Here's what I will say though. The single women have it figured out, right? The single men, not so much.
That's
They're-
remarkable.
What's that? That could be corporations. I don't know. It could be anything. We'll put that in the other category.
Yeah, but it is.
So the single men are probably hanging out with their buddies playing beer pong, and the ladies got to go on. Okay, profile of a repeat buyer is 62 years. Profile of a home seller is 64 years old. Not that young for repeat buyer, not that young for a profile of a home seller. Number one reason, to be closer to friends and family on both of those. Now, if I asked if that's a want or a need, I'd say in most cases it's a want. They want to be closer to the grandchildren. They want to be in this community with more people that can do social things, right? Are those demographics concerned as much about rates as the first-time home buyer? Probably not, right?
Could pay cash maybe.
They could, depending on where they're going.
Yeah.
And why could they pay cash? Because they owned a home over
Long
here,
time ago.
right?
Long time
And
ago.
that's the thing that we're seeing is that people are waiting to buy their home. And say they went from 28 to 40, that's 12 years of not owning a home. And what happens is, and I know each market is different. The conversation on this in Modesto is very different than Los Gatos, right? First time home buyer there might put $1 million down. Modesto, not so much, right? What they're missing is 12 years of home ownership and appreciation in a state like California that has pretty stable appreciation year after year. And so when they're 40 and they go to buy the house that they want when they're 40, they might have some disappointment because they can't afford it because they didn't buy the house they could afford when they were 30. Follow that? I did the math, and so this goes to the stock market thing. What we've heard for a long time is that people are going to rent because rent is cheaper, take the difference and put that into the stock market. Have you guys heard that one? How many people do you think are actually taking that difference and putting it into the stock market? Very few, okay? I put together a calculator for my agents, and I'll share it with you guys. I need to clean it up a little bit, but I'll share it with you. It essentially says if I bought at 30 back a handful of years ago, or bought at 40, what's the difference in that equity that I would have built for my future wealth? And what would it take for me to make up for that lost 10 years? So say I bought a $500,000 house 10 years ago, in California. I did this for Sacramento. If I bought the $500,000 house 10 years ago, today it'd be worth about $850,000. Not bad, right? $350,000 in 10 years. Now is it $350,000 on $500,000? What do people normally put down? 20%, 10%. Depending on what they put down, their return on investment could be phenomenally huge, better than you would get in any stock market, right? So if I put $50,000 down and I made $350,000, that's a crazy ROI. If we do the S&P 500 over the last 30 years, it's somewhere between 10 and 12%. And we're talking 3, 4, 500% return on the other side. So if I didn't do that and I bought today and missed those 10 years and the compounding of what that would do for my future, what I found was, based on taking money and putting it into the stock market, the S&P 500, it would take me 10 years of $65,000 cash money to make up for that lost time. $50,000 down here, or buy a house here, and $65,000 cash for 10 years to catch up. To me, that's the value of home ownership. And again, I'll hit on this in a second. I'll skip ahead. So going back to the survey, so this was NAR did this. What they did was that they mailed out a 120 question survey to 173,000 people. How many of you would respond to a 120 question survey by mail? Show of hands. How many of you would get really excited about filling that thing out and sending it back?
Are they paying me?
Show of hands. How many of you would fill out a 3-question survey by mail? Okay, a lot more people. I would venture a bet out of the 173,000, a very small percentage would respond to any survey by mail, if they even check their mailbox, right? Their response rate was they had 6,100 people respond. 3.5% of the people they sent it to responded. Now, question, I'm not picking on anybody. What demographic do you think is more likely to fill out a 120 question survey by mail?
Old,
Senior.
older people.
Yeah. My dad would love this. His adventure of the day was walking the dog to the mailbox, right? So he would love this. So if that demographic is most likely to be the 6,100 respondents, do you think the median age of those could be skewed a little bit higher? 100%. If the people filling it out are in their 60s, in large part, then of course the median age of the first-time home buyer is going to be higher. The median age of a repeat buyer or a home seller is going to be higher. So it's a flawed survey. I know this is fuzzy, but this is essentially NAR data on the first-time home buyer, 2014 all the way to 25, NAR Totality, which is owned by Stone Point, and a handful of others on their data on the median age of a first-time home buyer.
What are they?
Notice anything? Yeah, they've got them right around 32, 30, 33, where NAR had them at 31 in 2014. So I think we could say with fairly good confidence that people are waiting longer to buy their first home, but are they really 40? Probably not. Okay?
How did the other or survey done? Were they digital or?
Likely digital and also based on actual data demographics, not waiting for somebody to respond to a survey. Like Totality, they have all the information on every home sold. They have all the information on the people and the census and all that kind of stuff. So they're literally, it's not a mail-in survey. They're pulling that data, right?
Why isn't NAR pulling that data? Because we fill out the
That's
form
a
for
great
the
question.
county and they have our birthdays, everything.
Well, think about it like the jobs report too. The jobs report that they do and say, we increased by this many jobs or we lost this many jobs. And then they come out with a revision 3 months later and it's like, whoa, that was way better or way worse than we expected because they're waiting on mail-in surveys for people that may or may not turn them in. I just think there's a better way to collect that data too, to give us an accurate pulse. But the point I want to make on this, everybody in real estate got really out of whack, like crazy, going, oh my gosh, the first time home buyer is 40 years old. And they post all over social media and they were freaked out, like everybody's staying in their home longer, they're waiting to buy till later. And it turns out that data might not even be accurate, right? So in this world that we live in, there's a lot of things that gain traction on social media, and we can't get caught up in the hype of it. Because at the end of the day, what do we actually have control over?
Ourselves.
Yeah, we have control over ourselves. Do we have control over the median age going from 28 to 40
No.
for a first-time home buyer, even if that's accurate? Do you have control over interest rates? It'd be nice, right? Do you have control over home appreciation? No. What we have control over is our activities every single day. How many contacts we make, how many people we touch in our database, how many people we add to our database. That's it. If we focus on what we actually have control over, you're going to win 11 times out of 10. Okay, here's another one. According to Fannie Mae calculations, it would take one of three things or a combination of them for affordability to return to 2016 to 2019 levels. The median price of a single family home would need to fall by 38%. Median household income would have to rise more than 60%, or the mortgage rate would need to fall to 2.35%. Do you see any of those three happening? The only one that's likely to happen is wages going up 60%. Just a question of how long it's going to take for it to get there. People see that and they go, oh my gosh, affordability is horrible. I look at that and I say the housing market is strong and steady and a great investment. Because the odds of anything crashing that's going to cause values to go down just doesn't show up in that data. How many of us have had a client that has said, I'm just waiting for rates to come down? I'm just waiting, homes are too expensive. My parents had it so good. This is a new conversation, right, Steve? They didn't used to say this back in 2010, or they've always had this conversation, right?
Another thing is, we saw the homes value doubled or sometimes tripled within the last 10 years, right,
Mhm.
depending on location. Some people are saying, like, do you really think it's gonna double or triple again within the next 10 years? Because the prices are so high right now.
What do you think? Oh, I don't know if they are or not, right? I think there's a lot of factors on whether they're going. What we're seeing is that home prices are flat, if not dropping a little bit, depending on markets. You know, in Austin, it's like not dropping a little, it's way down. Number one city for appreciation right now, Milwaukee.
Oh, the land of milk beers.
Last year it was Cleveland.
It was what?
Cleveland. So why would Austin be crashing like a rock? There was a window of time where 50 to 100 people were moving there per day.
Yes.
Could that have caused appreciation to get a little out of whack? We'd go to KW events, they'd throw people up on stage saying, this team did amazing, and then we'd see that they were from Austin. We're like, we need to put a little asterisk next to that because that's not really fair because of 50 to 100 people move there per day. We're not having that. Competition's a little different. So they're seeing massive depreciation right now because of that. But you look at places like Cleveland or Milwaukee, do you think they had a massive run-up?
No.
They were probably your steady Eddie, 4% per year, just the little engine that could. And so they're still at 4% because they didn't have that ramp up, which is why they're on the top end of that scale now. The rest of the country, it's flat for the most part or declining unless you're in some of those places that didn't see that massive appreciation. So to your question, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It seems to me unrealistic that prices would do what they've done in the last little bit unless there's some external force that drives that, because it really comes back down to affordability, and that goes to wages, right? And so if wages aren't climbing fast enough and inflation ticked up again because of what's going on in the world, so I just don't see that, but I do see the value of home ownership because you also have, you're going to be paying off your mortgage, paying down your mortgage, right? So you have more equity that way as well. Or rent, if I rent a place, what are the odds that my rent's gonna go up? 100%. No matter what, my rent's gonna go up. And I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. It's gonna go up. So right now my rent is cheaper. 3, 4, 5 years from now, if I bought today, my rent might be more expensive than my mortgage. And I've got that for 30 years unless I refinance or do something different. And if I'm younger, my earning potential only goes up. So the percentage that I'm putting towards my house is actually becomes a smaller percentage of my income, right? Affordability, we've kind of hit on this. So if you've been to any of Gary's presentations, he talks on this one. Yeah.
How is AI changing the job market? That's the thing, right?
Oh gosh.
Seeing massive
How much time do you have? Like we can theorize and.
That's where we're struggling with people because people are being laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's the guy's name? Jack Dorsey. He's got his company, and at the end of last year, they had record profits, record revenue, everything's good, and he laid off 4,000 people. Right? Not because they needed to lay off 4,000 people, but he could improve his margins because of AI.
yeah.
Right? And so we're seeing more and more of that. The other thing that we're going to see is more of those entry-level positions not being needed anymore. Right? I was talking to Gary. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, running from another meeting. I'm here.
I was chatting with. This always sounds when I say this, it sounds like I'm name dropping. I was talking with Gary Keller, and we were going through some things with AI because we're having a lot of these conversations with Gary and the tech team. And he said, when I was putting together a presentation back in the day and I wanted to have quotes for my presentation, I would give kind of the theory of or the outline of what the presentation was going to be, and they would go away for 2 weeks and then come back with my quotes. Then it became a Google search. Now it's like instantaneous, like your whole presentation is written for you, quotes are put in there, and by the way, it graphically designs it for you, right? So the world is changing rapidly. And that's where I'm actually somewhat passionate, if you couldn't tell, about AI, because if we don't hop on board with that and start utilizing it more, it's going to get more and more challenging. And I don't want anybody in my ecosystem to be, I'm going to pick on my mother-in-law. She still writes checks at the grocery store, right? Love her to death. And everybody in line's like, so I don't want us to be in that boat. And like the thing, if you aren't plugging in, is everybody in this room plugging into AI in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I would say is don't use it for your Google. Don't Google in AI. Right? Start having conversations with it in the sense of like, what else should I be doing with you? Because if you've been on ChatGPT for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, it knows a lot about you, right? Knows a lot about your business, knows a lot about your life. Based on what you know about my business, how else should I be using you or other AI platforms to make my world more efficient? Right? Ask questions of it so it's going to give you an output that you can go, I didn't think about that. Like it's limited by our imagination. That's really it. Yes, sir.
I know someone at Compass, he wrote an AI engine that goes out every morning, gets him all the news that he monitors, the neighborhoods and the market centers that he follows, gets him all the new listings, how many went pending, how many got sold, all of that he was, he would usually spend a couple hours monitoring all the numbers. Now he gets that within a few minutes, and he has that in front of him.
Isn't that crazy?
I do have that. Like what I did is I have a paid version of Cloudy and I integrated multiple plugins and so I have trained it, I have uploaded all the information.
Yep.
So every morning I get in all the updates, I just have to check all the news because it is taking all the data and I don't have to go through it. And like my CRM, I get all the information when I'm talking, it's updating, it's keep reminding me that this is the next thing I have to do. Even Canva, you can just integrate, you come up with design, because sometimes when you give those designs to it, it does not do a good job.
Yep.
But you just do a skeleton of it and integrate with it.
Yeah, they have all kinds of connectors on
Yes.
Claude, on OpenAI, so ChatGPT. All of them are starting to build out these connectors and scheduling tasks and all that stuff. I have 2 AI agents that sit on a Mac Mini at my house, and I'll literally send a voice memo. And I'll say, hey, could you do some research on this, and this? So kind of to both of your points. And it will go out, it will scrape X, it will scrape Instagram, it will pull news feeds, and then it will give me a summary of that, which is crazy, right? It literally will go in and run my computer. It's funny, I would tease it, I'd be like, Hey, will you send Eddie a text message with a funny GIF of a cat, right? It will go in, search for a cat. It's weird to voice memo my AI agent when I could have just sent the text, right? But it will go in, it will look up for a funny cat GIF, and it will go into my iMessage and send it to you, right? So it's crazy what it can do now.
So that's why I'm getting those cat gifts every day?
Exactly, exactly. So it's like, you just start thinking about, like, it's literally limited by your imagination. So where this is going is, you now have AI at the center, and we're way off track here. You have AI at the center now, and all of your resources are now tools, right? Your calendar's a tool, your email's a tool, your command database is a tool. And so now you'll talk to this AI agent, and he'll have access to all these tools, and you'll say, I'm having an open house on Saturday from 2 to 4 on 123 Maple Street. Can you help me get that set up? It's gonna go to your calendar, and it's gonna go put in your open house. And it'll say, well, what's the weather in Fremont on Saturday at that time? I'm gonna put it in there so they know what to wear. They typically are at their house on Saturday, so I'm gonna put in drive time. Now let's go to Canva, let's create all the marketing pieces. Now let's go to Google Forms and build you a landing page so you can capture all your open house leads and tie that into your command. Like, that's where things are going, to where it's like, everything's just done for you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be driven by voice conversations. Right? You won't even have to type anymore, which is kind of scary.
Even for Avid, I just take pictures and put it on Notes, so maybe after 2 months, I don't remember what was it, so everything is taken, uploaded, it will have a sheet, and it shows me what is it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, ultimately, where is this going with AI, with jobs and stuff? It's gonna change the job landscape for sure. How? Not so sure. I think we can make a lot of safe assumptions, but where it's ultimately gonna go, I mean, this is bigger than the invention of the internet, in my opinion, right? It feels like, anybody see the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper?
Yeah.
Right, where it's like infinite memory, he got super smart because he took this pill. I feel like I'm limitless, like there's so much information coming at me so fast, and I want more of it faster, right? Because the world is moving that fast. So now back to affordability. Okay. Yep, so we're now at about 32% affordability, meaning that 32% of your income will go to your housing, okay? It was up as high as 34%. If we go back to 1981, it was half of your income went to your housing. Now, do you think if we went back to anybody that bought in 1981 and asked them, do you regret that decision of buying a house?
Never.
What do you think the answer would be?
No.
Like, I remember when my parents had a house in 1981, and we would have some interesting dinners because we were cutting back on everything else because they saw the value of home ownership. That home ownership is what provided for them in later parts of their life. It allowed them to build wealth in other areas, right? So I think that the part that we look at and we forget about is right here when it was 17 to 18%. So that gap between 17, 18, and 34, when money was that cheap and affordability was that great, everybody was taking that difference and putting it into their retirements and savings accounts, right? That extra money, what were they doing with it?
Spending money and stuff.
On what?
Vacations.
Anything they wanted, right? Going to dinner every night, going to happy hours, buying vacations, whatever. So part of the affordability conversation is somebody moved people's cheese and they have to cut back on the things that they got used to and they don't want to. That is, I'm not painting with a broad brush, or I am painting with a broad brush. So affordability is a real issue, but I think people's money habits have gone so far this way that they don't want to give that lifestyle up to be able to have this, and it's going to cost them in the long run, big time. This is where I'm going with real estate agents being a financial advisor, helping people understand the value of home ownership.
I think it's a really great point. There's a part of me that is curious about, like, what if it got adjusted for the fact that people, more typically receive pensions, and so they weren't, they weren't tasked with investing for retirement the way that we are, and that they were doing, that there was usually one income in the family, right? So there's some factors that might bring it down a little bit. The differential might be different a little bit if you think like it was only one income coming into the family and that
Totally.
the pension part.
Well, yeah, if you go back here, there were probably more single income families back then too, right?
Yeah.
Right. What's interesting is that the part of the housing, the shortage issue is that more people are living alone. right? So more people, instead of having a roommate or living with family, they are living by themselves. Great point.
That's actually a really good, your point on top of that point is a really good point, that a lot of the home sales that we see are, there's a lot of single women buying homes unmarried women. Buying homes. Well, there you go.
All the single ladies.
It almost kind of makes up for that, single family income, one income per family, 1981. There's something that evens it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Specifically relating to that point, we should go to the dating site and start marketing.
wow, your business has grown by 300%. How'd you do it, Tinder? I swiped right. Want to buy a house? Yes, yes, yes.
Back in 1980, that 49% interest rates were.
17, 18%.
We did 19 on ours. Yeah.
And right over here, we had where people had to you complain about gas prices today. People over here, you had to wait till the certain letter of your license plate to get gas on that day.
I remember that.
Which is part of what caused this, right? Because things got so out of whack, they had to get way more aggressive, right? Isn't it funny when you see the news and they're like, gas prices nationwide went all the way up to $4.12. You're like, I would kill to have $4.12. So this is Sacramento. So this is units sold from 1999 to 25. And so this is 2007. So show of hands, how many of you were in the real estate market during the housing crash? Okay. Still standing after all these years. So here's what I'll say is that how many classes have you been in too where they say, how many of you were in the market in 07 and 08 during the crash? Quite a few, right? If you'll notice right here in 2007, we had this low point, right? Market crashed. What happened in 2008? Shot right back up. Why? Because the economy crashed after the housing market. Like our world crashed right in here where it just stopped. It got really weirdly quiet second half of 05, 06, and then it started going down. It's like I went away for 4th of July weekend, came back and the phones just stopped ringing. You'd have listings, you could have 20 listings and everybody's calling you going, what do I need to do to sell my house? And everybody just hated taking listings. Agents would start saying, I'm only working with buyers now because they didn't want to collect any more listings. Most of the people that said that, by the way, are not in the business anymore. If you want to last, you list properties because the market will turn, as we see, in a New York minute. It turned because the economy went down, people were getting foreclosed on, had to short sell their home. So it was really a weird space to be in when people are having an economic challenge and we're going gangbusters, right? We just had our run of hardship over here. I remember going to a friend's house, and this was about a year into the real estate end of the recession, and I was at my friend's house, and he was sitting there with his dad. I remember he was leaning against the couch, his dad was on the back of the couch, his dad was right here, and they're debating. Well, by technical definition, we're not in a recession. I was like, screw you. This is tough right now. A year later, he got laid off, right? And there wasn't any part of me that was like, see? No, maybe a little bit. Because it was hard. And so there was a little bit of like, how could you say that? But you didn't know. Ultimately, it all worked out. He's in a job that he actually loves. But here's what I want to point out. What do you notice about 2003, 2004, 2023, 24, 25 compared to 07?
Nobody wanted to sell because of those interest rates they had were so low, right? They weren't selling. They didn't want to sell their property, I mean.
Correct, over in the 25, 23, 24, 25.
24, yeah.
But if we look at units, aren't those almost the same as 07?
Right.
So from a real estate recession for our industry, we've got 2007 on repeat for 3 years. So what I want to say is being in this market and getting out there and doing what you need to do to be successful, that is a big badge of honor that you should be carrying loud and proud. Okay? So that is something, it just puts perspective around sometimes what we're feeling. And here's the reality. When times get tough, people hit the brakes. They go, what's going on? This doesn't feel good. The person that doesn't hit the brakes and calls their database, does open houses, what they need to do is the one that's gonna steal market share from the person that pumps the brakes. Yes, sir.
So what's the right thing to do in these kind of situations, right, where the market goes down? Similar in 2007 and 2023 right now. So what do you think, you can tell us about, like, what you did in 2007, like, for you to like build up your sales? I
Well,
mean, compared to what happened at that time and this time, but what we as new agents, right, can do
For sure.
to gain
Well,
some experience.
and I've kind of hit on that. So it's different because what happened then is the economy tanked and people had spent more than they had, right? So that little dip, and there are people that are short selling now. There's more short sales now than we've had in a long time, because there's certain neighborhoods where people overpaid for a house. They had incentives to buy down the rate. They put very little down, and now the market is flat or dipped a little bit, and they have no equity to actually sell the house. And their rate at the 2-1 buy down has changed, and they can't afford it anymore, right?
But to your point though, that we're never, like, it's very unlikely that we're ever gonna find ourselves in the situation we found ourselves in there, because you have to remember that it's before Dodd-Frank and people were getting loans at 0% down, anybody who could breathe, so there was no skin.
Ninja.
What's that?
No job, no income, job, or asset loans.
Exactly, so it's kind of the borrower and the purchaser is a very different animal over the last 5, 8, 10 years than we had at that time.
Yep.
So they were ready to cut loose and bail a lot quicker, whereas today's purchaser has more skin in the game unless they bought recent, unless they tried
In
to
that
turn it around quickly.
22 to 23 range, those years, and they bought in a highly desirable, typically a new construction, that's where you're gonna have some short sale people. But to your question specifically, what happened here, there were foreclosures and there were a select group of agents that got the foreclosures.
I got house in 2010, I totally know, like, prices came down to 10 at the time, so.
Yep. So, but
Foreclosure house is what about?
here's a point that I wanna make though on that. They didn't just wake up one day and have an email sitting in their inbox saying, hey, here's a listing from, Countrywide. Back here, they were out networking with the banks so that they could be on the list to get the REOs. They were doing their lead generation before that. So the one thing I would tell anybody, new agent or otherwise, lead generation, right? What is your goal? Because that's the cool thing about this business. We know if I want to make this much money, I need to sell this many houses. In order to sell this many houses, I need to go on this many appointments. In order to go on this many appointments, I need to make this many contacts. If we break that down to say, how many contacts do I need to make per day? Now you have purpose every single day. If I don't make 3 new contacts a day, my day didn't count. And I promise you, if you do something where you're making 5 new contacts a day, 5 days a week, you're outperforming 98% of the real estate industry at least, right? So it just comes back down to lead generation. Focus on what you actually have control of, right? Okay, I'm gonna skip past that. Same as ever, I'm gonna hit on this one real quick. So this book, great book, same author as The Psychology of Money, which is an awesome book. Same as ever, the premise is, somebody asked this guy, you might have heard of him, Jeff Bezos. Said, Jeff, what do you see changing in the future? His response was, I don't worry about what's going to change in the future, I worry about what's not going to change. People want a great product at a great price, delivered quickly. That was his answer. And so this whole book is not focusing on where things are going to change, focusing on where things are not going to change. Going to the 3% interest rates, like those poor people trapped in 3% interest rates, like that's horrible that they're trapped, right? I feel so bad for them. What we're seeing, and I'll show you the data, human behavior prevails. When they start making less money and they have a house with a ton of equity in it, do they cut back on their lifestyle? Or do they tap into their equity to do that? Or do they spend on credit cards first to do that, and then tap into their equity to make that a little bit easier? So we've seen an uptick in HELOCs, we've seen an uptick on cash out refis to consolidate that debt. So people are realizing if I have 6% across all of my debt, that's cheaper than 3% here and 28% here. So that's causing people to get out of the 3%. Because that was the concern, was they're never going to sell. The market's going to die because people won't ever sell their 3% house. Well, at some point where they want to go, the school district they want their kids into is going to cause them to do it, or human behavior is going to cause them to do it. Okay? This is, I want to say at the end of last year, sub 3% mortgages is the blue line. 6% or higher mortgages is the orange line. See a trend? So more and more people are getting 6% or higher mortgages, and the sub 3 mortgages are getting lower and lower. This was a few months ago. We actually watched those lines cross. So more people have 6% or higher mortgages than have sub 3% mortgages. Same as ever. What's not going to change people's spending habits? Think about this. What about the person who's been renting because they were going to rent because it was cheaper, take that difference, put it in the stock market that they didn't do. Instead, they spent on their credit cards, and they don't have the home equity to help them get out of financial hardship because they didn't buy a house. I'm not saying you should plan for that, but they don't even have a great backup. Okay. This goes to just the amount of equity people have in their house. This is 60% or more. Actually, no. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, housing affordability in California and Sacramento. I'm from Sacramento, so there are some slides in here about Sacramento, but I think it applies to everybody. I'm going to go through this one quickly just because of time. What I typically do is, this is affordability, blue line's California, red line's Sacramento. This is January of 91 all the way to Q1 of 24. This right here was the affordability got down to where only 10% of people could afford a home. And the market crashed. All of a sudden, almost 70% of people could afford a home. And so I'll ask people, like, what do you see? And they'll say things like, wow, the affordability is getting close to over here, right before the crash. And I'll tell you what I see. Somebody had the best year of their career in any one of those markets. Market being down, market being up, somebody had the best year of their career. And it's all choice. Doing our lead generation. The interesting thing is, and I've probably recruited somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 agents to Keller Williams over the years.
Nice.
And if you factor that in, how many appointments I've held in order to recruit that many people, let's say I convert 25%, that's quite a few appointments. So it's probably closer to 2,000 actually recruited. You have these people that come into the industry. How many fairly new licensees in the room? Okay. How many of you have had a friend where you're talking to them and like, oh, when you get your license, let us know, because we're actually thinking about buying a house? Maybe had those conversations? Typically happens because the conversation is, hey, how are you? Great, I'm working on my real estate license right now. Cool, when you get your license, we're actually thinking about buying a house. We're actually thinking about selling our house. Let us know. Then we get our license and all of a sudden we feel like we're bothering people, like we joined Amway. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be that cheesy salesperson. And then our pipeline dries up. I can't tell you how over all the years people are like, I can't wait to get my license. I've got 3 people that are ready to buy right now. Then they help 2 or 1 of the 3 buy, and then their whole pipeline's gone. And it's just because they stopped talking to people. And you don't have to be a cheesy salesperson because you were having a great conversation that was getting you leads before. Just keep having those conversations. NAR membership count, this is a little skewed because a lot of this was predictions. But the thing I want you to take away from this is the ramp up before the crash in 07. So people coming into the business. I love houses, I love people, right? I watch HGTV and the Property Brothers are amazing and I want to get into real estate. So we come into the real estate market crashes, people get out of the real estate market. Market gets better again, people start coming back into the industry. There's always a lag time. This is right out of Shift. Great book if you haven't read it. What happens is it takes a little while for the agents to realize the market's more challenging. And a lot of them will try to hang in there, and then they'll decide I should go do something else. And what they say are things like, I had to go get a real job. Well, guess what? If you don't show up to your real job either, you're not going to have a job there. Like, you've got to show up to this. You have way more. I get passionate about this stuff. The market went down and people were getting out of the business. I remember driving past one of the buildings in downtown Sacramento, and there was a line around the building with people applying for a state and county job. And I saw all these agents I used to see at the SAR, Sacramento Association of Realtors, in line. And people came into my office, they're like, man, that was a long day. I was in line in downtown Sacramento. I was like, you were there? Well, yeah, times are tough. I have to get a real job. There was a guy, I went to a sushi restaurant one day. This is as the market was starting to turn around. And I saw one of my former agents at the restaurant. He was managing the restaurant. Like, hey, how's it going? It's like, it's great, man. I do UPS. I drive the truck in the morning. Then I manage the restaurant in the evening. It's been great. Like, that sounds like a lot of work. And you could be making the same, if not more money with more free time if you just made your 5 contacts a day. Right? And so that's where I look at this is like, if we just focus on what we have control over. So just like there's that lag time for people to get out, and we saw a bunch of people get out in 04. And my contention was they quit in 03, they made it official in 04. It became the gym membership that they said, I don't want, like I haven't used a gym in a year, I probably shouldn't pay that monthly fee anymore.
Exactly what
And they canceled they quit the brokerage, right? And this is NAR membership, so people might still have their NAR membership, they're just not out there actively selling. The lag time with people getting out of the business, so you have less opportunity and more competition. The same thing is true when the market turns around. People are getting out, and people will still be getting out when the market turns around. Because how do we know the market has turned? Because it started going back up. That's the only way we know. We can't predict it. And so you will actually have more opportunity and less competition. And so if we go back to this one, what are we doing right now to get the opportunity over here? Follow me on that one?
Yeah.
Like we could be saying the market's so tough and it's not yielding, it's not bearing any fruit, all this lead gen is not bearing any fruit. I promise you, you put in the work now, you'll pay huge dividends. See why I geek out on stats and data? Is this good? Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Before you go on though, can you talk a little bit, going back to the slide about the big equity?
Mhm.
Because one of the reasons that sellers don't want to sell in our market here is because they have huge capital gains exposure because of that big equity position. Any comment?
What's the question in there? They
I
just don't want
wanna
to
know
sell.
what you think about it, because you were talking about affordability, the myth of affordability, but.
Because they had that massive ramp up.
Right, but if you have a huge capital gains exposure on your principal residence, you might not want to sell. You might want to find some other.
Yeah, or I'd get a really good CPA that helped me strategize around that.
That's what I said.
Right? And I heard you in here. You're like, now you can't tell them use this CPA, and you can't be the CPA, but you tell them you probably want to talk to a CPA, right? I'd find somebody that's really good at tax strategies to help me figure that one out. Especially, but at some point, the one thing that we can't argue is that life is going to continue going. And at some point, what's happening in their world needs to happen, and capital gains is no longer a factor. The same as ever, right? And what I want is I want to be in a, if you're the person that has a capital gains issue, I want to make sure I stay in relationship with you so that if something does happen where life happens and you need to sell the house or your world changed and now you can, I want you to call me. So it might be, I mean, I've spent 4 years recruiting one agent to Keller Williams, calling them every quarter, calling them every month. And then they finally joined. I called the agent that referred them to me 4 years later. Hey, Dean, I just want to let you know that Patricia Webb just signed up today and she named you as her sponsor. What? I forgot I even gave you her name. This is awesome, right? So we want to make sure that we're in that spot so when life does change, we're in the position to win. Because NAR actually puts out the data that says something like 80–90% of sellers and buyers will use the same agent if they ever have a need again. But the actual reality is only 13–16% actually do. I think there's opportunity for us to stay in contact with people a little bit better, and not put them on just your monthly email newsletter, right? Your monthly email newsletter that goes out 3 times a year. All right, so now I'm gonna jump back into this stuff. So we've seen all these things out here about better splits, revenue share, stock options, all this kind of stuff. Here's what I'll tell you is they're pitching a one-size-fits-all. And this is not a sales pitch on Keller Williams, it's just the reality of it. It's a one-size-fits-all, and real estate is anything but a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
What you want and what you want and what you want could be the same. It also could be vastly different. We bring people in like Ben Kinney, who his team now closes tens of thousands, like 50,000 homes per year. Not 50, that's probably a little exaggeration, but so many homes per year. And people are like, that's amazing. I want to build an empire like Ben Kinney. And other people are like, that was cool, but I never want to work that hard. Right? And so we had to bring in trainers that were like, this person closed 80 deals just from their database. Didn't have to make a cold call, because that feels like something people want to attain more than somebody up here. And so everything is not one size fits all. Your business isn't generic. People enter real estate for different reasons. I think the general premise is the same reason. People want opportunity. Freedom of their time, unlimited income, ability to create wealth, right? But we all have a different vision for our future. Different goals require different paths. We do a more turnkey or tailored approach than turnkey. So our goal is not to fit you into the system. Our goal is to build a system that fits you. If we don't know what your goals are, how are we going to fit you into a system that works for you? Like, what will happen is if we're not really getting to know you and your goals, and I'll be candid, we as Keller Williams will do everything we can to get to know you and your goals. There's 4,500 agents in Northern California and Hawaii. How many agents in this market center?
93, 92.
What's that?
93, 94.
Okay, 100 agents in this office. That's a lot of people for one or two people to know everything about. And for us to go intentionally find that. So there's a two-way partnership in this. If you're struggling, like my joke is, Keller Williams is good at a lot of things. The one thing that we have not perfected yet is our ability to read minds. Right? So if you're struggling, if you don't know where to plug in, if you feel a little lost, you got to raise your hand. I promise you, the leadership in this office or any Keller Williams office that I've ever been a part of will bend over backwards to help if you raise your hand and say, I need help. Fair?
Yes.
My other joke that I always say is, we'll do everything to help you. We will not drive to your house in the morning, pick you up, and bring you into work. Right? If you're not plugging into the office, it's hard for people to know your goals, dreams, aspirations. And when we know that, we can say, you should go to this class. You should plug into this networking group. Otherwise, we're trying to plug you into everything. Then you go, I can't attend everything anymore, and you just stop going to everything, and then you've seen it. They stop plugging in, their business goes. Right? Okay. So Gary Keller's kind of rephrased this, but I've always known Keller Williams being a coaching and consulting company cleverly disguised as a real estate brokerage. Gary now says we're a people development company. Okay. Here's what I want you to think. Of course we want you to like us, but what's more important than you liking us is you loving us.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you're going to love us is that at some point you may not like us. Because we're going to tell you maybe what you need to hear to get your goals so that you love us. Anybody in the room with kids
Yes.
knows exactly what we're talking about. Like there's moments where our kids don't like us
Yeah.
because we had to have the tough conversation with them so that they did the right thing or made the right choices, but they love us, right? Where we don't win, we're never going to be the cheapest, the flashiest, selling shortcuts, one size fits all. We're going to choose coaching over convenience, consulting over commands, ownership over dependency. And here's what I'll say on the ownership versus dependency. This is something I learned like week one of being at Keller Williams. There's a saying when they compare different brokerage models that you have independent, which would be you pay your fee and they leave you alone, right? Very landlord-tenanty. There's brokerages out there like that, pay my monthly fee, pay my annual fee, whatever, and they just let me do my thing. Then you have dependent, which is where I came from, where everything is built on the brand of that company. If that company didn't have all of its JD Power Awards, you wouldn't be successful. The first brokerage that I started at, when I did a listing presentation, I would go into the mailroom and I'd grab all the flyers on that brokerage on why they were so good and put that in my listing presentation. And I went on the listing pitching the brokerage. Well-designed plan to make it feel like if I wasn't here, I might not be as successful. That's dependent. Interdependent is Keller Williams. And the way that I'll describe interdependent is a brand new baby, if left to its own devices, like left by itself, would it survive? Is dependent on somebody else for their survival. Teenager. Independent, right?
It depends, right?
Independent, I don't need you. Interdependent is when we get a little bit older, like when I was a teenager, I know it all, I've got it all figured out, I don't need you. You get a little bit older, you're like, I don't need you, but life is better with you. That's where that sweet spot with Keller Williams is. And so it's important for us to know what your goals are so we can plug you in the right spot so you can have the outcome that you want on why you got into real estate to begin with. Skip past that. I'm running right up, I'm a little over time, aren't I?
No, you're good.
Okay. I'll share this. This is a little bit of a sales pitch. Not that I need to sell you on Keller Williams because you're already here. Right? You lock the doors, right? So, if I already hit on plugging into the market center, that's huge. And where I've seen, because I've been in this company for 20 years, I've had people come to me and they say, Patrick, you know what? My business has grown. I'm now one of the top agents in the market center. I'm going to go over to Tad Thompson. He sells all the homes in Granite Bay. Luxury homes. I've always wanted to do luxury homes. I feel like I've hit a ceiling at Keller Williams. So I'm going to go over there. And I pull up Tad Thompson's production. Yeah, he's known for selling homes in Granite Bay, but his production is not nearly at the top of our market center, but that's a perception. And what that person did was they pulled themselves out of the major leagues and dropped down to AAA, maybe AA baseball, right? They changed the circle that they were in. They didn't expand the circle that they were in. If you're in a company like Keller Williams, at some point, if you really strive for it, you might be the top agent in this market center. And you're gonna say things like, who's stretching me? Who's helping me grow? I'm constantly teaching classes and people are coming to me going, how'd you get all those listings? I'm helping. The way that you do that is you expand your circle. It's not just the market center, it's the surrounding market centers. It's the region. It's plugging into Keller Williams international events like Mega Camp and Family Reunion. It's going to classes like Bold. That's how you're going to expand your circle, because I promise you, there are people in this ecosystem, and I think we all agree Keller Williams has a unique culture of sharing, right, and collaboration. In my former brokerage, I remember I went over to the printer because I printed out something. It was like one document. And I went over to the printer and somebody's listing presentation was sitting on there. They came over and they like elbowed me out of the way to grab their listing presentation so I wouldn't see it. Anybody else experience that?
Yeah.
I'm like, you didn't freaking invent the listing presentation. You probably stole that from somebody else off the copier.
I tell a story about like the first time I was introduced to Keller Williams. I had been with another kind of prominent boutique brokerage in Oakland, and I was happy enough, there. But I came into a Keller Williams office, and one of the top producers in our area, in our market, was in front of the room. He was a Keller Williams agent, and he was sharing his listing presentation with a group that like this size. He was just going through the whole listing presentation, and it was such a kind of wow moment for me because I'm used to the kind of jump on the top here kind of mentality, and this mentality of, there's abundance out there and we can support one another and all rise together in our real estate efforts was like mind-blowing. And it's one of the huge differentiators if you've ever experienced another brokerage, the desire to collaborate here.
It's shocking for people that have been in other brokerages, especially top producers, right? I had a buddy in the Palisades. He was at a dependent model brokerage and he went to Family Reunion as a guest. And he's like, this person just emailed me their whole marketing campaign for luxury properties. And they're in Los Angeles. He's like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset, and that's huge.
It's a difference maker. So think about this. If I am really good at taking listings and I give you my listing presentation, did you just get as good as me at a listing presentation? No, we're probably gonna present both of them very differently. And the abundance mindset comes in, if I give you my listing presentation, you get really freaking good at it, I could say, she's stealing business from me, right? That could be the glass is half empty. The glass is half full is like, now I gotta get better. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. Like it's forcing you to level up. So, I forgot where I was going. Oh, plugging in. When you plug into this ecosystem, crazy things happen. I tell my wife all the time, I could fly and land in any airport in this country and have a place to crash because of this company. Gary Keller would always tell us, as you grow your circle, you'll have to hop on a plane to go see your best friends. I went out to Birmingham, Alabama earlier this year to go see one of my best friends. I flew up to Portland, Oregon to go see one of my best friends. By the way, best friends I didn't have before I joined this company. Pretty cool, right? So if you're not plugging in, I'll give you another story. Rachel Adams Lee, anybody familiar with her? So she's all over social media. If you want to learn how to do social media, Rachel Adams Lee is one of those people. I recruited her as a brand new licensee. She was scared to quit her $11 an hour job and get into real estate full time when I met with her. And now she's like, she had to buy 2 investment properties at the end of last year because she made too much money and she needed more write-offs. How many of you would like that phone call from your CPA? You need to buy more investment properties before the year's done because you need more write-offs. What she did was she signed up as a brand new licensee, and the next day was Bold. She went to Bold. She knew it was $800 to go to Bold. She didn't have $800. She went there. She showed up. The agent saw how she showed up at Bold. They all pitched in and paid for her Bold. She did 52 transactions in her first year. Diana Kokoska, who wrote Bold, heard about it, did a video on her about the power of Bold, and that was the beginning of her journey to literally her real estate business exists today, not for her income, but to validate all the other businesses that she's built. And it's because she went to a class called Bold. So if you're not plugging in, I'm not saying that everybody needs to become a Rachel Adams, but I'm just saying if you're not plugging into the global ecosystem, you might be missing out on a wonderful opportunity to expand your circle, your friendships, and grow your business. And have experiences that you probably wouldn't have had otherwise, right? So just some examples. Breakthrough 120 is a way to plug in. And Breakthrough 120, that's our class that replaced Ignite. If you don't know.
This summer.
What's that?
We'll be doing it this summer.
Okay. So if you want to do 9 pieces of business in 120 days, this is the class for you. Ignite was our brand new agent course. This is not a brand new agent course. Brand new agents should take this course, but any agent that wants to do 9 additional pieces of business in 120 days should take this course. Being part of the ALC, if you're in the top 20%, join the ALC. Have a voice in your market center. Have a say in the way things are run. If you're not in the top 20%, join a committee. One of the things that I did when I was a brand new baby agent, I would go to our Natomas Realtor Forum. And that's where, like, everybody's got them, the board meetings where you pitch your listings and go on tour. When I first came to Sacramento, they told me, like, oh, you're going to do Natomas? I wouldn't do that because the Brickners and Michael Soros own that neighborhood. They own it. It's like, they've got all the market share. You're crazy to go into Natomas. I pulled up the data and I saw they combined have 9%. There was 91% still available, so to speak. But the perception was they owned it. But in the Natomas Realtor Forum, Holly Brickner was always there, and she would always have, like, say we'd have 7 listings on tour, 4 of them were hers. She was the one that kind of annoyed people all the time. What was I doing? I'd say, Holly, can I ride with you? Can I hop in your car? And then I was then the annoying one going, shotgun, because I wanted to sit next to Holly and pick her brain on the entire tour. ALC committees is your opportunity to pick the brains of the top people in your market center, to hang out with them, understand what they did to get where they are. So, and you get also a voice in the company. Bold, we've talked about that, getting a MAPS coach, going to things like Mega Camp and Family Reunion, great ways to plug in. Have you guys seen this one about how, this is gonna sound negative at first, but there's a really cool positive on here. This is for 2025, based on NAR data. 71% of agents closed how many transactions?
None.
71 plus 15, that's 86%, closed 4 or fewer transactions. So where most people's brains go when I show that is like, oh, market sucks. Where I go is, there's only 14% of the NAR population that's my competition. The actual people that you're competing against is that big. The opportunity is huge.
You mean 29%, right? 28%. You're competing against the 29.1.
If we take the ones that did 4
oh,
or
1 to
fewer,
4 deals, okay. That's
How many of that 85% that aren't your competition are showing up and doing that lead gen that you talked about? So your only competition are the 14% or so that you said, and so there's only 14% of people that are actually showing up every day. That's the way, I love this framing, it's so true.
It changed the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right?
Yeah.
And just like the affordability, it's still expensive to buy a house, but if I don't buy one, it's more expensive, right? This is the same thing. There are people, like, how many of that 71% do you think probably have a real job doing something else? And so they're not doing their lead gen, they're over here making a salary without the upside. And that's why people get into real estate. They go, I wanted more opportunity, I wanted results based on my efforts. I didn't want anybody else imposing a ceiling on what I could do, right? When I first moved to Sacramento, so I lived in LA. Am I still okay on time?
Almost.
Okay.
We're about 10 minutes for food for a break, and then we'll come back for the.
Okay. When I first moved to Sacramento, I was in LA. I was in commercial real estate, and I had a draw. I was 23 years old, I think. I don't know. Hard to remember. I had a draw, so if I didn't close a commercial deal, I had income coming in. My wife was a school teacher. She had income coming in, and we were renting. I decided I wanted to move to Sacramento and moved up here. I didn't have a job. I got into residential real estate. My wife hadn't got a job in Sacramento yet, so neither one of us had a stable income. And that was when you could buy a house with no income, job, or assets, so I had a mortgage payment now. And I had a choice to make every single morning. Am I gonna lay around the house and kind of watch TV or feel sorry for myself, or am I gonna go out there and do my lead gen? It was the summer of 2005, which it was like 112 all summer long. It was insanely hot. Every single day I went door knocking. Because I'm like, me out door knocking is better than me sitting in the office sending out emails, right? And so I'd knock on people's doors and it looked like I was gonna die. Because I came from LA, so the first few days I went door knocking, I wore a suit. Not a good idea when it's 100-something degrees outside. They're like, do you want some water? Do you want to come and sit down for a minute? But I was holding open houses and I was door knocking every single day because I needed to figure out a way to get my business going. Within 11 months, I was the #2 agent in that office year to date. Because there wasn't a day, like all my friends are going out doing fun stuff on the weekends. I was like, I got a mortgage to pay. I need income. And so I just did what was needed. And like I said, 11 months in, I was #2 agent in that office. It's just a matter of making the choice and what we're willing to sacrifice to get the wheels going on our business, right? And it was funny, the first listing presentation I went on, because I mentioned the Brickners, and everybody's got stories like this if you've been in the business long enough. So as a new agent, what are the questions that you're worried that a seller is going to ask you on that first appointment? How many homes have you sold? How long have you been in the business, right?
Yeah.
So I go on this appointment in Natomas where Michael Soares and the Brickners own the neighborhood, and the Brickners are selling like 12, 15 homes a month. So my concern was they were going to ask me, how many homes have you sold? How long have you been in the business? And then when they found out the answer to those two questions, why should we list with you versus the Brickners that sell 15 homes a month? What do you think the first 3 questions were that came out of their mouth? How long have you been in the business? How many homes have you sold? I told them. Why should we list with you versus the Brickners that sell 15 homes a month? I told them, I just moved my family up here to start my career in real estate, and I am betting my financial future on my ability to be the hardest worker to sell your house. 5 seconds later, we were signing the agreement. They didn't question me on compensation, they didn't question me on anything. They knew just based on how I presented that they had a workhorse that would do anything to get their home sold. And so why I'm sharing that with you, and guess what? It's cool to take a listing, and again, I know not everybody in here is a new agent. It's really cool when you take a listing and you walk a couple inches taller. But when you steal a new listing from one of the top agents in the market, you walk a lot taller. And then I left there, I was like, this is easy. Every listing appointment is gonna be this good. Doesn't always work out that way. But if you're willing to do the work, cool stuff happens. And the people that are cold calling and doing the door knocking and all this stuff, if you ask any of them that are religious about their lead generation, every single one of them has a story where they picked up the phone, they called somebody, and the person on the other end of the phone said, "It's crazy you called me today. I was just talking to my husband about this last night." The harder you work, the luckier you get. Okay. Whoop. I'm gonna skip past that. This is.
Should we just do the break thing now, or finish it, or?
Yeah, I'm almost done. Can I show this video? Do we have audio to?
Oh, I think you need to go back.
Let me see.
Present.
I saw that video. Have you? Maybe Kelly sent it to me. Maybe Kelly sent it to me. Oh, yeah?
I think the TV might be muted, is it?
Oh, that's muted.
Yeah, I just up the.
You up the volume? What did I do?
All right, now act out the video for us.
2 words. I changed the input.
Oh, where's the input?
That's a great question.
Okay, I'm gonna go get her share.
Oh, you check the cameras. I've met her before. She's.
Patrick, are you used to that in market centers where somebody says, "I'll go get Harshita," or the equivalent of who Harshita is, the person who knows how to do everything? That we're so grateful for. Here she is.
I picked the wrong input. Harshita, everybody. Save the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we need the
Volume.
volume.
We're still on mute.
Yeah, just push it.
More details about how. So apparently 10 years ago today, I decided to come to KW, and I remember walking into my managing broker's office at that brokerage I used to be at, and she told me that I would fail and that I would be back. I just want to say, without swearing, no, I just want to say, look at me now, person. I think I did just fine, and KW was the best choice ever for me. I have grown my life, grown my kids' lives, grown my husband's life to such a bigger scale than I ever could have imagined. And my business is thriving. I love my clients. I love my career. I love the investing I get to do, the flipping and the buying and holding, the educating and everything else that KW has given me the opportunity and the courage to do. A huge shout out to Pete Economos, because I remember him talking about investing over and over again, just take that step, and it blew up my life. I'm forever grateful to KW, and I am so happy where I am. And if you ever want to talk about more details about how it changed my life, I'm happy to discuss.
What did you guys think? Cool?
Powerful.
So, think she has a chip on her shoulder when her previous manager said that?
Yes.
Here's the other thing I call on that. Pete Economos, if you don't know him, he's a great OP in Chicago. And clearly she went to some class that he was facilitating, right? So she was plugging in, which kind of got her brain. Size of your answers is determined by the size of your questions. So somebody exposed her to a different thought process. So ultimately, here's what I want to leave you guys with. We talked about a lot of stuff today. If you really want to accomplish what you set out to do with your real estate career, make sure that you're plugging into this company at the highest level. And if you don't know where to plug in, raise your hand and let us know. I promise you, everybody in the leadership that I've ever met is passionate, like deeply passionate about seeing people succeed and win in this industry. This industry has provided financial futures for countless people that plug into it. And at the end of the day, we want you to have a career worth having, a business worth owning, and most importantly, a life worth living. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you again. That
Absolutely.
was a lot of information that we're gonna have to go through and change a lot of our mindsets, right? So today our lunch is ready, but before we have lunch, our lunch is sponsored by Ann and Liz.
Hi, everybody. Hello again. So I know most of you, but I'm Annette with JCP LGS Natural Hazard Disclosures. Great to see you all. Thank you for the opportunity today. we learned a lot, so that was awesome. In the flyer stand that I have over there, I have this little cheat sheet. It tells you if you're working with the buyer and they want to know on a property what the taxes are, say they're just interested in it, you don't have to log in, go to our website, disclosures.com, click on tax estimator. You can get all the information, put the property address, you'll get that instantly for free. I put some new California laws for 2026, how it's affecting real estate here. And for you new agents, this is what our report looks like. It's double-sided. Don't be scared of it. It's not your job to understand this all. It's your job to know who to call. So I'm happy to go over it with you one-on-one. And I also put some disclosure guides. There's a lot of acronyms in real estate. So our disclosure guide we have in English, Spanish, and Chinese. I put some of these off to the side. And I just want you guys to know, part of my give back is I have a lot of support in the industry. So part of my off-hour times is giving back to the real estate community. So I'm very involved in marketing. We are very involved in marketing and Women's Council, ARIA, NORA, all the things. So some people like to go to marketing because it gets them out in the morning, gets them ready to go for the day. We want you to know you're not alone out there. You have plenty of support here. You guys have a great office that a lot of offices don't provide anything like this. And so you're not alone. We're out there with you. Why is it important? Part of it to get out, right? Get ready, get out. Have a routine. Go meet other agents so that when you make an offer, maybe they're like, hey, I remember you from marketing meeting or whatever. And that can help you get your deal picked. So I appreciate you all. And my other sister in the back is Lucy. We all work for First American. We sell 3 different products. You can use us as one or you can use us individually. It doesn't matter, but we're here to support you. And here's my other work sister, Liz.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yes. The trifecta. You have a one-stop shop here. Liz Salcido, First American Home Warranty. And the most important thing you'll learn today, if you don't already know, how to open this pen. So you click it down. A lot of people press the back button, are not sure how to open it. This pen doesn't work, let's throw it away. It's gonna be your favorite pen, exactly. So you just press it down like this. So just a couple things with home warranty I want to mention is one pro tip that you can use and offer a little bit of white glove service to your buyers. Find out what their filter is for their HVAC intake system. Show up to their house and bring them that filter and say, hey, it's summertime, it's time to change that filter out. So just something to think about when you're thinking about what's a good touch, where am I bringing value. Most homeowners are not changing out their filters. So that's something to think about when you're going in and doing the walkthrough, is knowing what the filter is so you can bring it to them in a few months. Also wanted to mention we offer a rekey service for your buyers. So we'll rekey 6 locks and give them 4 keys. Talk to me about how we can get that discounted for your buyers. And one other thing I wanted to mention is introduce me early to your buyers too, and I can walk them through how to log in, how to take advantage of their home warranty. We've noticed that homeowners who log in, use their home warranties, are most likely to renew, but also most likely not to call you. They'll call me. So again, it's not how much you know, but it's who you know and who you can count on and call. And also offer marketing services. You can get your farm from Lucy, and she has all my door hangers and all the wonderful marketing materials. We can also do a one-on-one. And I have a little bit of real estate marketing background, so I can help you for the newer agents. So again.
And we have a little rap. You guys remember? Some of you? You know the song, Down with OPP, yeah, you know me. So when we say the first part, you say, yeah, you know me. So you down with JCP?
Yeah, you know me.
I got your NHD.
And Liz has your home warranty.
That's our mic.
That's our mic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have Stephen Klein was also. Yeah, you have to follow that. Yeah, you gotta jingle it in your head.
Earlier.
Yes.
Oh, and most importantly, Olive Garden. So pasta Tuesday.
That's not fair at all.
Do your reps, Steven.
Ready?
Is that right? Oh, great.
So Stephen's also one of our sponsors, and he has all the information on insurance.
Hi everyone.
Do you want your slide?
If you have it handy, that's great. I don't need it.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Stephen with Greystone Insurance Agency. Greystone's a partnership with KW Advisors. We are here very specifically to help you and your clients with all things insurance. We're very much property insurance focused, but we do all things: home, auto, umbrella, earthquake, flood, landlord, renters insurance, all kinds of business insurance. We insure buildings, retail, office, wholesale, warehouse, and we also insure their tenants. So if any solution, any property insurance solution that you need, we have it. I want to let everyone know, this is good news. I finally come with good news. Travelers is coming back to market for personal lines insurance. If you've ever had Travelers insurance before, they are exceptional, and they were one of the ones that picked up their ball and went and played in the other 49 states for the last couple of years. But they are returning to market. This is part of the insurance department, the Department of Insurance's initiative to bring carriers back to market. So they've signed on to the Sustainable Insurance Strategy, which is a forward-looking weather modeling model that will help them set rates. Historically in California, insurance companies were only allowed to use loss history as a justification for increasing rates. There's a new department at the Department of Insurance that is going to use weather forecasting and weather modeling to help set rates. It's not great news for consumers, other than it's going to bring insurers back to market, which is going to bring more competition, which is going to bring healthier policies to everyone. Does that make sense? Yeah. So good news. We don't deal with ordinance or law coverage. When do you contact Greystone Insurance? If you think that the cost of insurance is going to be a limiting factor in whether or not your clients can write an offer or they want to write an offer, send us an email, kwadvisors@greystoneinsured.com. All we really need is the address in a day or two, and we can at least get you a premium indication, let you know if the home that your clients are considering is going to be $200 or $300 a month, or maybe it's going to be $800 or $900 a month. It might make a difference in whether or not you even want to write. If you just take listings, we think that having an insurance proposal as part of your listing presentation is going to help separate you from your competition. I think it shows that you're looking at this more of a relationship and less transactional, but it's especially useful if your client has been in that home for a real long time and they don't have any idea how the insurance market has changed over the last few years, because they've just been renewing that same policy for the last 20 years, right? Again, they could be paying $200 or $300 a month for this insurance. They have no idea that the buyer might have to pay $700 or $800 a month for it, right? Might help set what they think they can get for the home, right? So we're here to be a resource for you in that way as well. Can I talk about BOPs real quick? Where's Stephen Beard? He loves BOPs. So the Market Center has an E&O policy that is intended to very much extend to each of you in case something unfortunate happens transactionally, right? A common real estate E&O claim is failure to disclose. The Market Center also has a general liability policy that is not intended to extend to each of you. All of you are running your own businesses. A BOP stands for a business owner's policy. It's a very specific insurance policy. It's a program that we have for realtors. It gives you $2 million of general liability coverage, also coverage for like a business personal property like cell phones and computers. The most common application of why you would need a policy like that, or why you would want a policy like that, is that it protects you from claims of third-party bodily injury. So if someone gets injured in an open house that you're showing and they want to try to make you responsible for their injuries, or the story I love telling, maybe Tina hasn't even heard this one yet. This happened down in Southern California. There was a home, the seller shut off the water to the wet bar because the pipe was leaking, and the buyer required that the pipe was fixed as a condition of the sale. So the agent hired a plumber.
Wait, what? Should we pause?
Oh, is that not a great idea, Eddie?
Not a great idea.
Why is that, Eddie?
I feel like we've done this shtick before. So, we have to kind of always step back. This is a common, problem that a position that agents put themselves into that they shouldn't be putting themselves into. The homeowner is the owner of the home. They should be hiring any vendors. We can provide referrals to vendors. But like one of the first third rails in this story is the agent themselves hiring a vendor to do a fix. It's our client's home, they're gonna hire the vendor.
It's a real fine line between being helpful and being, their Sherpa in this process, and stepping over that and creating an E&O liability, right, or an E&O exposure, right? your clients are gonna come to you with all kinds of questions and they're gonna want all kinds of advice. If they come to you with a legal question, your knee-jerk reaction response should be, that's a great question for an attorney. Do you want me to introduce you to one, or do you have an attorney,
I'm
right?
curious, Stephen, did anything go wrong with that pipe that got fixed? And if so, who got it fixed?
God, Eddie, I'm so glad you asked, thank you. So the plumber fixed the pipe, pipe tested, escrow closed. 3 months later, the pipe failed again, caused $216,000 of damage to the house. Who got sued?
Everybody.
Everybody got sued. But because the realtor had a BOP, when he got his demand letter from the buyer's attorney, he was able to turn it over to his insurance company and they made it go away. So for $500 a year, which is about 30 minutes of your attorney's time, you have a policy that protects you for a year that is contractually required to defend you from any claim. Cool. I'm gonna be here most of the day if you wanna talk about what's going on your desk. Thank you for having me. Enjoy lunch.
Thank you. Okay, so lunch is ready. Let's go.
Steven, she has a question.
I love questions.
Is there a deductible for that fine?
There are no deductibles for liability claims. There's a $500 deductible with a property loss. So if you lose your cell phone or if your computer gets stolen, there's a $500 deductible.
Okay, all right, lunch is ready. Let's take a little break for lunch and then we're gonna come back and Patrick's gonna lead the mastermind.
Otherwise they'll be.
12:30. 12:30.
We're coming back. Yep. But I mean, yeah, so 1:30 right now, we're gonna come back here at 12:30.
Want me to take a picture of you guys?
Hi, I'm Yvonne. Hi, Tina, thank you. I'm Sujata. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Erika. We're from Silicon Valley. Congratulations on your award. Okay, you were there for that?
You were there?
Yeah, and I love your dress. I wanted to ask you, but then I wanted to talk about the dress. Okay.
Oh, the region.
Yes.
I know. Real quick. Come take a picture with me.
Okay, let's go. We'll get over here.
That's okay. I can have some. Oh, there you go.
Wait.
It's really zoomed in. 1, 2, 3. I'll take a few more. Hold on. I think this one's good.
Great.
Any day, Tina.
I'm taking multiple angles, so you can
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you.
That was really good.
Size also matters. So that's good. I usually order just in bulk that time. No, that's my time. And whole year I usually don't spend time more than money. Because we have size.
That's true.
We all know what for us and the material, shapeless material, and also type of dress.
Yeah, I know.
Here I have to meet with clients for him to do all this work what you see. So I want always dress which is 2 types, like comfort here and one very usually I don't know. We have different level of that's it.
It was so pretty.
No, nothing great. I was not aware that I'm doing this. Oh, because I knew that award was announced during the family reunion time.
Okay.
And I got to know that. It's like, that's done.
Okay.
Because it never happened earlier that they are giving award as a physical award.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Recognition made, which is good. And I came
So
there.
you were the MCA for this office?
No, so my thing is very complicated. I joined as marketing director and then taking care of MCA work because our MCA has left. Because I have a marketing and finance background, so doing both. And then because we have now got your MCA, we need somebody to recruit from past 3.5 years and in between our team leader has left, she moved to Southern California.
Okay.
So they offered the team leader with KFC family. I got the right person to give time to leading us.
Wow, okay. Okay.
It's like 30 minutes.
Twin boys are 7.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm for it.
I don't want to do something which I won't be able to do justice. So this business requires more mixers, mingling, and baking. I don't drink. So I'm good for nothing. I'm vegetarian. Me too. And now I'm completely fine sitting with whole table eating non-veg and I'm vegetarian. I'm fine with that. But I feel like when you put mixers, that's the only thing you drink. I don't drink soda. So what I will drink? Water.
I think like if
So nice meeting you. Yeah, I don't know, we always keep our doors open and I think you guys also keep doors open for all the trainings. Yeah. It's good to see you. Yeah, good to see you too.
you're the best.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
So you
it's
are?
happy birthday last week, right?
Yeah, you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, you missed my birthday
I
party.
know, I'm the worst. I think I was hosting a team meeting somewhere. It's good to see you.
See? Yeah.
Okay.
So you're leaving?
Oh, I gotta give this guy too. Yeah, I got more meetings today. I'm sorry, but I gotta run too.
So you got,
I'm gonna give this guy. I'm gonna give this guy a hug too. All these great people.
That's good.
Good.
What about KW agents for sure? Yeah, not KW agents are also interested.
Oh, okay.
We want to keep the doors open. Thank you so much. Please have lunch. That's awesome. Would you want?
I'll go over and grab something a little bit. I'll let everybody
I
go
don't know
over.
about your choice. I know like Eddie's choice. What?
Yeah, sometimes it depends on the day. Sometimes when I'm in front of the room, I don't eat until I'm all done. So it just depends. But I'll wait till everybody's got all the food and I'll swing over there real quick.
Thank you for your presentation.
Absolutely.
I'm from Silicon Valley office. I'm
Okay.
with Yvonne.
Yeah.
I used to get the newsletter, suddenly it stopped, and then she sent me, hey, there is something in Fremont. And yeah, let's go. And then I signed up.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. This is so much information.
It's a lot of information. So clearly there's some parts that I'm very passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can see that.
This company, AI, and market data.
Yeah, AI is something I need to
When it's good.
brain around. I'm really scared to give AI access to my computer. So I have to talk to the person who's been doing. Do you have another computer? Do you do that too?
Yeah, so like I've got, gosh, I have 2 AI agents that are just like autonomous agents that will just work on projects and all that kind of stuff for me.
Okay.
And then I've also done Claude, I've done things with OpenAI and Perplexity, but I have most of them all running on a separate computer.
Separate computer, which doesn't have access to your client's information.
No, and so I
That's
gradually,
the
as
part
I
I'm scared
understand
of.
it more and more, I will gradually like, okay, now I'm comfortable with opening a browser.
Okay.
Right? But it started off with like, it was a blank map. It had internet access, so I could talk to it from here, and that was it.
Okay. So I have a
for me,
old
it's,
laptop with me, I may have to
for
scrub
me, it's, I'm on the other
everything,
side,
not
right?
give
It's quote
access
bind,
and
quote
then
bind, quote
have
bind, right? So
something
I'm a
sent to my
revenue
email, that's how you do it? Or
Claude, you can do it through Dispatch. So if you have the Claude desktop app,
I do, I still
you
have to
can,
work
so
on
like
it.
in your Claude app.
If you don't mind, can I write it down?
Yeah.
That way I go home, I
So there are
research.
these moments where I'm like over and over because of the response.
So like in your Claude app on your phone,
Oh, on your phone, okay, I
you
have a
go,
desktop.
you go here to Dispatch.
Easy to talk to a guy
And so like this is stuff that I've done. And so
So
this,
this is one of your agents?
no, this is Claude
Okay.
altogether. So Claude is running on my Mac Mini at home, and this will go to that. So if it needs to open browsers, if it needs to do like find a document on my computer,
Wow.
I've given it access to certain things, so it can run from here
Oh, wow.
and use Claude. So that's one of them. But they're all starting to do that now, where they have all the connectors and they can access your Gmail. Like, but I've got my agents. They
Agents would be your
yeah.
Claude
So
agent or?
no, it's completely different than that. So it's my agents are, how do I describe it?
Is the product called agent?
No, it's called. There's one called OpenClaw, and there's another one called Hermes Agent, and
Hermes?
yeah, HERMES. But it's like that's way down the technical rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so like they both take care of each other. So if one doesn't update and breaks, the other one will go fix it.
Wow.
And they both
That's amazing.
they both have personalities based on the conversations that we've had. It gets to know me more and more. And
Oh, okay.
like one, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and it knows that I wake up typically between 4:30 and 5, and I'm asking it questions like, Patrick, you need to go to bed.
Oh, I brought you one, but I didn't realize you.
One of them said, because it kept breaking and screwing up, and I was like, I got frustrated, and it goes, you're right, I screwed up. I should double check everything before I just run off my mouth. Do you want me to fix it, or do you want me to shut my mouth and let you enjoy your Saturday? I was like, wow, it feels like a battered spouse or something. They get full personality. It's weird.
Wow, okay.
But that's when you start doing that kind of stuff, you run the risk of the expense going way up. Because now you're using things called tokens.
Okay.
Or if you have a Claude subscription or a ChatGPT subscription, you can do a lot of stuff without that.
Okay.
It'll be way more, less likely to break, and it's just going to be easier.
Easier, okay.
Right?
So I'm in the beginning stage. I have used Claude for one of my buyer's requirements. It came up with a report. I'm still working on it. I want it to be nicer. And I did use Claude for my presentation, to clean up my presentation. I do have a listed presentation. I asked it to clean up and go with the colors of my working. It did that. I'm in that stage. What would you recommend for a beginner of AI? I don't want to, I'm really scared to give access to my computer, but.
Only give it access to what you feel comfortable with, and then like the simple thing is like for example, say you want to clean up your email. Give me a plan on what I can do to clean up my inbox. But give me the plan and make sure that I'm on the same page before you do anything.
Okay.
Right, so you always throw in that like, don't do anything, don't touch my email, just read my email and give me a game plan to clean it up. So that way it will look at your email, and that way you don't have to worry about, it just deleted my email from my tax advisor. Or it sent this email. Like you can just say, don't do anything, tell me what your advice would be based on looking at my inbox.
And then you do give a user ID and password.
And sometimes like Claude and OpenAI, they have a connector, like if you use Gmail or Office, it will disconnect.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that like I've used Claude to clean out my inbox, but my little agent now, it actually drafts responses for me and everything. It's got a full Patrick voice Bible on me on how I respond just to emails. Like my tone, my writing style, everything. So it'll go through, it'll triage my email, it will tell me what I need to attack.
So that's the other agent you
Yeah,
said.
and the other ones like Claude and OpenAI, they're getting so good so fast.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't even go down the rabbit hole on my AI agent because everything's getting so good so fast. What I'm talking about over here, who knows, like in 3 weeks, all this might be irrelevant because that works. Of course. And in a way that I'm very tech savvy.
Sounds like it went really good.
I used to work.
Yeah.
I understand. So that's why I'm really scared to give access.
I know,
And
that's
so,
what
like,
I've been pushing them.
The thing I tell people is like
The other
in
thing
a
is,
little bit you'll
I
have
showed
access to
properties
resources
to our new client.
that
She and I have a
the
mutual client.
coders have access to.
First one, right?
But everybody in the room could have access to it and not to be techie to do it.
Yeah,
Right?
there's no problem.
So-
Yeah, she loves you, it's great. I don't think they were thrilled with the properties. They really, we got it, it was the first time we went out together, so I'm not really worried about it, but
Sit down, he taught me how to.
we'll find them something. But,
And then he said,
when we're ready,
in
we'll
like few years,
get them in the contract.
it's going to be people who are talking to AI, making it
I
work for
have
you. That's what
other
it's going to
vendor
be. You
partners.
have to.
Oh yeah.
And I don't
And we
like
got
to. I
Elon
don't
Tesla's
like
building
to,
robots to do people's laundry and housekeeping, right?
I would like to have that robot.
It's I think next year. I think next year.
As one of my.
Really? Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but affordability, yeah, something we.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I will in just a minute. Thank you. Hi.
Harshita was going to go with you, but I'm just going to do it myself. I'm Stephanie.
Hi,
So
Stephanie.
I'm from Rima.
Okay.
Although I am a mortgage person.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
yes, I just wanted to say hi. I know I was running from San Francisco, so I couldn't attend.
No, all good. I'm glad you're here. It's great to meet you. Are you based in San Francisco?
No, I'm based here.
Oh, you are?
So I oversee this office, but unfortunately, my temporary was open until we find another partner.
Okay.
Or you mortgage advisors, so then those who are mortgage advisors.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like whatever financing that's needed.
I love it.
I'm trying to
Well, we had financing conversations about, you know, for people trapped in 3%, that the world's changing, you know, and just all that kind of stuff.
I talk about all the time, and there's advisors, other stuff, there's plenty of rates, it doesn't make sense, you know, let's just talk, have a conversation.
Having the person that knows all this stuff on how to have that conversation. Exactly. It was great to meet you.
I know, same. You need to grab some.
I'm gonna go take a peek real
Yeah,
quick.
okay. Awesome.
Hey.
You do have somebody, but you can grab another chair. Sure.
Look at that plate, full.
Yeah, I'm, hey, just call me.
No, it's hungry. Stephanie had a lot of fun at the.
I had so much fun. I was telling somebody. It was just so tiring. I was just kind of going with the flow. No, I'm good. It was super fun. I loved it.
You knew the bar guys.
I knew the place for sure. That's what happened with our gateway.
Always working there, huh, Steve?
I'm juggling my own clients.
And you teach all these different. Four offices. Wow, how do you do that?
Yesterday I was in
coming down there and doing just culture class.
Where's the office in San Francisco?
California and Polk.
California and Polk.
I don't know the name of it.
This is by North Beach?
No.
Sad for us.
That's an addition, maybe?
So my daughter, she lives over there in that area.
There's some big churches nearby.
Yeah.
What's that?
Join us, I'll get you a chair.
You have a great name.
Is that your name?
That's a cool one.
Patrick?
What do you do?
There we go.
That's why they keep saying Patrick. I'm going, I'm going to do what? Oh, you're talking to him. I'm going, no, my God.
That's funny.
You can also have, like, I have, when that one's full, then I have to interchange this and that.
AI says that it is in
What are you going light?
quarter of non-hill and
Going just protein?
Okay.
I'm saving the carbs for the cookies.
Polk
over
Gulch. An energetic corridor known for its diverse dining, shopping, and nightlife.
I'm heading back up. Yeah, it was about a 3-hour drive on the way down.
Well, in the morning. Yeah, it was morning.
But it's, you know,
Yeah, you're
it's
way
a
back.
transitional neighborhood.
When I first looked, it said it was gonna be 3.5
You know,
hours.
closed storefronts.
I was like, oh my God.
Maybe I'll fly
And then by the time I
over.
got on the road, it was 3 hours.
Oh, better.
I mean, I live so close to San Francisco. It's, but I don't go there very much, you know.
Where do you live?
I live in Newark.
Tracy.
Yeah, I live in Hayward, so I'm technically closer than you.
Yeah.
I came through West Sacramento.
Yeah. But you went that way, you didn't come
Down
to.
the post town, my daughter, you know, like this day,
That typically has
to
no
go get a
traffic.
house, you know, instead of paying rent, build your equity and stuff like that.
Do you own a place in traffic there?
Yeah.
It is in, a little bit in Fairfield.
And she just loves the city life, and she just likes, you know, to rent. Just like, well, you know what, you're gonna
Yeah, I live in Roseville. I've got offices in
restrict yourself from
Roseville,
buying a house. You keep waiting. You know?
Yeah, gets harder and harder.
Yeah, it's getting harder and
Take
harder.
over the Folsom office.
Like he says, you know, pretty soon rent's gonna be so high, or the house will be so
So
high.
the current owner doesn't want to be the owner anymore, so I'm
Oh, so you're gonna take it over as ownership?
Ownership is a hedge against inflation.
Like 100%? Really?
So,
All on you.
yeah,
You know how we said, first time buyers, you know, 40 years old?
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I when he says 28, that's when we bought our first house. When,
I wish I bought that early.
we bought it at 27, I think.
I was well in my 30s. How old was I? About 35.
Some TLC.
I sold in Boston, I know.
Yeah, it's a
I
great
waited way
area.
too long.
Yeah,
But
you
for
know,
me,
it's like my wife and I, we
6 months
we
before
bought our house before we even got married.
next
Wow.
year.
And the reason why is
The timing isn't ideal.
we bought the house because we were looking. It's like, wow, actually a home just went up 100,000 in 1 year. It's like, we need to buy it, even though, because we said we were gonna get married this year,
Right.
a certain year, but it said, we better buy now before we price ourselves.
Because most of them.
And the prices went up.
Yeah, by the time.
What year did you buy?
Get married
94.
They move up.
94? Oh my goodness, I didn't realize you were that old. You're a little older than I thought you were. I was thinking you're like 40, 35, 40 years
Oh,
old.
thank you, thank you.
My God, you're like 1994. I didn't buy my first home until the end of the business.
Let me tell my wife. Sometimes like 35, 40.
Okay, but whatever it is, we still have
You to be 94. I mean, that's 26, that's 30 years ago. You were 28, see?
My friend Clara,
I'm younger than you. Wow.
so Rachel and I.
You look great, man.
Well, thanks.
But we
But
saw the regional.
if you see my wife, you go, this is your wife? You go, this is your daughter. You see my wife?
It's the state of the company. I wanna know. Well, I mean, I went to family reunion.
My wife.
Amazing. But we have to keep.
From your wedding?
Yeah.
And that's where I live. I.
She Vietnamese? Or Chinese or something?
So you're out in Mike Usually's office?
Filipino.
Yes.
Really? Let me see that picture again.
We're both Filipino. It's not a good picture. I mean, the thing. But, yeah. So, I'll show you a picture of my family.
He used to have another owner with him.
And my daughter just turned
They're
30.
still there? Oh, are they? Andre?
You have a 30-year-old daughter.
Yeah. We got married at 28. So,
For
58.
example, he used to own Santa Cruz.
Wow.
Proudly.
Do you have any other
Same
kids?
kind of
No, we just have
She doing well?
Oh, she's awesome. She's a nurse at Stanford.
You know Kelly Cody?
I know Kelly. No way.
Yeah. Born and raised.
Literally.
So I know Pat. Pat Cody. Mine's Suja.
We'll have to send Kelly a text.
See, this was
A selfie of us.
this is our wedding.
Aww.
And then this is
Oh my
my-
God, you look so different. Shit. You look like a troublemaker. Are you a troublemaker?
Never.
Aww. What happened to all the hair, dude?
All the hair?
All the black hair. What happened?
Yeah. Just
Aging.
easier to manage when it's shorter.
That's very true.
You don't need to comb it. It's just
Did you guys meet here or in the Philippines?
high school.
But where? In the Philippines or here?
Here, Milpitas.
Really? Really?
She graduated a long time ago.
You know, there's a great Filipino
Where?
in Fremont, near Stevenson. You take a freeway off of Stevenson, going towards the bay, and there's this little plaza, and there's a great Filipino.
You have an Isla.
Yes, that's right. You like it?
I go to other ones. I mean, you know, it's just like Chinese restaurants. You have your favorite Chinese restaurant. You got your favorite Filipino restaurant. My favorite Filipino restaurant. My wife's cooking.
You know, I was married. My first wife was Guam and Guam has a lot of cultural similarities. She introduced me to Filipino food, but this is 30 years ago. And not like 20, 25 years ago. Anyway, I grew to like pan-sit and chicken adobo and some other, and empanadas with, anyway. Yes, thank you, lumpia, and I don't get to eat that, you know, unless I'm seeing my current wife make a special trip. I don't get to eat that stuff right now.
We're gonna have to go to lunch.
Yeah, we should go for lunch.
Yeah, you know.
I'd love it.
Yeah. I set up a meeting with you in June for our next one-on-one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should
I think
lunch one here.
And I can have chicken adobo.
Yeah. I think you do a different one.
Okay. My wife and I went to check out Isla. We liked it. Someone else had recommended it, a client of mine in Alameda said that's a good place.
But there's a lot of good Filipino restaurants. You know. But yeah.
You know, my assistant Riz, she's from,
How did you find her?
an agency for virtual administration.
I mean, she doesn't work strictly just for you, right?
Yeah, she does now, full time, yeah.
Oh, really?
I pay her a lot of money
Well,
for the privilege of having her full
So,
time.
anything.
I mean, relative to what she was doing ad hoc stuff.
Because profit share is awesome, and it's like, to see some
Anyway,
of the
have you been to
profit
Philippines?
doing
No.
right now with profit share.
Never made it
That's
to
what I
the
need.
Philippines, never made it to Guam. Wanted to.
There's just.
Like an ALC call. I don't see why not. It's just a matter of.
it's a good lunch.
Absolutely. And the numerous ALCs that talk about how to get ALC mastermind.
Give me more pasta.
So it's absolutely doable. 100%.
What I can, wisdom I bring from this.
I think the biggest thing is that profit share isn't what it used to be. The irony in that is, so, 07, I was a team leader, and we were not profitable, and like, why would I want to go on profit share? Every week. As a team leader, I was the only one recruiting, and then when we profit shared $90,000 one year, guess who got the most of that? And everybody's like, oh, I want to get a profit share. You missed the window. The other side of it is, you got ultimately just like, show me how many of you say, I feel like just change your life first. Everybody's so why would we ever just assume a franchise brokerage doesn't want to check this out? They haven't. They don't deserve the same opportunity that you had to make up your mind yourself. So if it's changed your life, why wouldn't you like to just check it out? And oh, by the way, on top of that, you get back to your life, you just hang out with your life, and you like to profit.
The same kind of concept, you said, oh, we don't want to seem like we're pushy, or we're just trying to talk to them, get them to join.
Here's what I would do.
Sorry, am I taking over the?
What I would do is I would work with your education committee or career development, whatever you call it.
Yeah, that's Brian.
And I would say, okay, let's make sure that our training partner has a attainable or critical event every month.
Yes, so we can invite.
So you can invite, and so now
Say that all the time.
they put that on the calendar, and then you have your growth committee together, you get your list of who you're gonna call to invite to the training. And that way you've got.
About that, right?
Yeah, that's.
Invite.
That's the number one thing, and what's the classes that make agents want to plug in, that will stay with us, and not want to leave, and then what's the class that people come from someplace else going, wow, my brokerage doesn't do anything like this.
That's right. Zala. He's been doing AI once a month since last year, I thank God. You know, I grew up with typewriters. Yeah. Well, I'm older than you. Okay, so we grew up with typewriters. Not electric typewriters, a manual electric typewriter. We knew. Yeah, I learned it too.
Typewriter?
I was a TA at typewriter.
Yeah, now I'm assuming this is a.
Manual, I'm talking about. Yeah, no, electric manual too.
By the time I went off to college, it was word processors.
Word processors.
When I went off to college, it was like younger typewriters and electric typewriters with the erase button.
Yes. No more white out.
So when's your next event?
Thank you.
I just
Actually,
did
that's
one.
what brought me in, was Brian.
So I'm probably not doing another
He and
one.
I did a transaction together. I was at a small
I
brokerage.
did a home buyer workshop
Which I love it.
last week. It was okay.
After the transaction, he said, you know, Yvonne, I love
No,
working
when
with
they
you.
open
I
office,
want to invite you to my team.
I had about
That's
5,
why
6 people.
I love working with you, but I don't have one. You know what? 2 years later,
Where's the one that you did a booth? Where was that at?
West Contra Costa County, Valley Vista.
I joined in '06, and my license I got for 1906.
The Vista Hills School.
Yeah. But you know what, I look back.
There are other vendors here?
And when people say.
Yeah, it was for special needs. It was
Imagine
for,
MLS, all bank-owned or short sales. And they said,
kids who are receiving benefits under the developmental disabilities program in the school.
So many stores that have
Right, you were counselor.
So they have a,
Craziest thing too is all of a sudden.
so they have a,
Closures hit and the market kind of hit bottom. I can't get my regular funds in because we have all these investors who all cash.
they have an event every year for the kids to learn about opportunities in
Then everybody so used
as
to
they
doing
become
short sales,
adults
nobody cared
to
about
get services.
compensation, whatever the price was, they just went out. And then went back to normal, nobody knew the objection.
Do you need services and like transfer to jobs?
Crazy.
But so, here comes 2 years later, and guess what?
Not necessarily.
They invited me to our creator. That year I told myself, I'm gonna get as much as possible.
But these folks learn how to, how they're gonna get supported living or
Anyway,
independent
I went to the
services. Any
top.
kind of services that they used to get through their parents or in school as adults. So that's the idea. There's one in every county, almost every county.
He was in,
And,
I bought his.
the one for,
CD or whatever.
there's one for Elmwood, it was in March that I went to, and I had a table there, that was really nice. And then this one, was in Vista Hills School, really West Contra Costa County School Board.
He made it human.
It was good.
He really did.
Is it just for
It's a great branding event for me.
Is it just for disability or is it for special needs?
I sat in that class, you know what he said?
Primarily,
You guys
that's the
gotta
same
do
thing.
this.
Is it?
He didn't say that.
Disability, special needs, sure.
Well, he got up and
They're synonymous.
Is there anybody, of course, now.
I've never heard them referred to as different things. Special needs is a euphemism
Yeah,
for
because
disability.
I have a niece and nephew, my sister's kids, they're special needs because they had learning disability.
They might qualify.
But they're in the state of Texas.
Every state's different.
When he said the values.
If you're diagnosed with a developmental disability before the age of 21 in California, you become eligible for services from the state through the regional support system. You probably have parishioners at your church, have family members, or who are themselves clients of the regional
And
system.
always welcome them.
And that's the community of interest.
Yeah, and so I thought.
For example, the person who becomes
That was
disabled
it. The rest is
as a
history.
result of
I
a
just
car
celebrated
accident
12 years.
or from getting MS,
Graduated from the program.
they are a different category. They're not eligible for this. But if you have cerebral palsy, autism on the spectrum, or mental health illnesses, you may be able to get these services.
Because I always talk to my sister, because my nephew now, and my niece, they're probably 23 and 21. And just one, the 23-year-old, like, how does he get a job?
We're doing a master.
And I was just trying to learn. I tell my sister, well, you guys have some programs out there. I just don't know what they are. So I'm just wondering if this is like a similar program.
It is.
Yeah.
There are lots of agencies that hire folks with developmental disabilities.
We're gonna get, let's finish up a little bit. We're gonna have Mastermind right now.
It's hard to do back to back.
Now everyone is chatting. We're
I
gonna
know.
be chatting as a mastermind.
Well, where's the leader?
Pro tip, but
Also send you
Probably ate too
our
much.
listings in case you have buyers.
Right, yeah.
I have one coming up in Antigua. And in Hayward. Absolutely. We share.
What's the mastermind on?
Whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm just a facilitator now. I can talk, you can
How
talk.
much do you know about this local market?
Not a whole lot.
You're gonna hear some very interesting challenges they have local. I hope I'll bring it up if they don't.
Okay.
But there's some very interesting local challenges in this market. Very unique to this whole Fremont area, Fremont, Union City, Newark, South Bay, but Southeast Bay. So these issues that they're gonna talk to you about, some of them don't come up in the peninsula, they don't come up in Oakland, Berkeley. It's really interesting.
Come up here.
Yeah. So I hope they get into that a little bit.
Mastermind.
We can eat and mastermind at the same time.
I like that. Can you, can you do underwriting? So how fast does it take to go to underwriting? Fully.
This place has great slip and fall insurance.
Mastermind?
Mastermind. Let me go get a.
Okay.
Is there a particular topic?
We'll just open it up to what everybody wants to talk about. Have a free flow. How was lunch?
Very good.
Good? Hit the spot?
Oh,
Thank you to our sponsors.
Is it, yeah, is everybody all carb coma now? After
Not
spaghetti?
too bad, not too bad. This is the time to eat it early.
So we're gonna do a mastermind, and a lot of times people say we're gonna do a mastermind, and then they
Here, move your chair here.
end up pushing their agenda and all that stuff. The masterminds I like to do is make sure that we're having a conversation on the most important things for everybody in the room. Fair? Which means that we have to participate.
What?
I know, crazy, right? So, how long are we doing this for?
Until 1:30.
Till 1:30? Okay. So in the next 45 minutes or so that we have together, what would you want to discuss that when we leave here you go, I'm glad that I attended that mastermind. It was helpful for me in my business. What would you want to get to work through?
Most people are struggling with just getting production going. It doesn't matter what, like where you are, like whether a new agent or even veteran agents, like production has dropped, like what you mentioned, right?
Yep.
There's only so many homes available, and then the buyers are all pulling back right now.
Mm-hmm. Why are the buyers pulling back? Interest rates?
Uncertainty, jobs, rates, affordability, fear.
Yeah. It's like the rates is an outcome of something that's driven by I think the bigger thing is like, where's the world going? What's happening in the world? Are rates going to continue to go up? Is something else going to happen? It's, I don't know about you, but it felt like, at the beginning of the year, it felt like, okay, this is good. And everybody, it went to 5.99%. And everybody's Instagram and their stories said 5.99%. And then there was Iran, and now it's going up, right?
It just feels so uncertain because of anything could happen at any time. Like last year, there was, we were picking up, everything was looking great, and then the tax. Tariffs, yeah. The tariffs hit, and then you felt it in an instant between just 1 week. And then now this year is the Iran war that.
Yep. Well, it's interesting because here's the thing. This is why. I teach market stats every single month, and I teach it in each office in person. I'm thinking about doing one regionally where we go through. Here's what's happening in the global economy, the U.S. economy, and the U.S. real estate market, and then try to get to, like in my market centers, I go specific to Elk Grove or Chico or whatever, because there's a lot of factors out there that what we're driving down to is consumer sentiment, right? What causes people to move or not move. And so, and there's certain things that, okay, the interest rate's going from 5.99 to, were they 6.65 or something like that? Depending on credit scores and all this, right?
Well, 6.5 is a bit more.
Yeah. And depending on if I go to Mortgage News Daily or Optimal Blue or Google, it's all different. But it's, there's certain things out there that there's more news coming at people today than we've ever had, right? And there is I'm not saying that there's not real life events and stuff happening in the world, but there are also things that are specifically designed to create a reaction, right? Like the terrorists would be a good example. Like everybody's, I tread very lightly on the political side, right? I don't want to offend 50% of the room, no matter which way I go. And so with the tariffs, there are real concerns about it, but we hadn't seen the full impact of them when people start behaving very differently.
Right.
With Iran, the impact was much swifter, right? Interest rates started going up pretty quickly, and then the inflation numbers came out, and then interest rates went back up again. And so I think it's important for us to know what's happening out there and not be the tail wagging the dog, so to speak, understanding where things are going, where we can be the person that's providing some level of certainty in a very uncertain world. Because there's a lot of gloom and doom. It's funny, there's a gal on, you probably know of her, Diana Olick. Yeah, so she's a CNBC writer, and she's always talking about real estate. Part of my market stats class is literally the last 5 months of Diana Olick headlines. Lowest interest rate in 20 years. Buyers are flooding the market. Worst housing market in 40 years. Like, it's like such a roller coaster ride over a matter of like, this happened on Friday, and by Tuesday it said the exact opposite. And it's like a roller coaster ride. And sometimes when you read the article itself will contradict the headline, because the headlines are designed to cause people to click on the article to get the ads, right? And so when we start thinking about things in those terms, like some of the news that comes out, like there really isn't 24 hours worth of news out there, but we have 24-hour news channels, and they need eyeballs. And so there's a lot of things that people put out there. And the unfortunate thing is that there's so much news coming out at everybody from all angles, it creates a lot of uncertainty, right? The thought process was everybody's waiting till the election, because half one side was going, if this person doesn't win again, or this person doesn't win, then this person wins and the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and vice versa. And so everybody just kind of hit the pause before the election, but it's continued on. So I think for us to understand what's happening in the world, what's happening in the economy is good. That way we can ask better questions when we're on a listing presentation or a buyer consultation to help people make a decision, because they're making decisions based on how it feels right now, not based on what their long-term goals and needs are. And so for us to ask deeper questions about why would you want to sell your house? Like, I think about the old expired script. So when the listings expire, if you had sold your home, what were you gonna do? Where were you gonna go? Well, I was gonna move to Florida so I could be closer to the grandkids. Great. If I could get you close, if we could spend 30 minutes, I could get you to Florida and be closer to the grandkids. Would that be worth our time? Yeah, it sounds great, right? So it's going back to like, what's your motivation for actually buying or selling?
Is this still an old script, or is that still something that's very valid to use right now?
It's the old. What's funny is what's old is becoming new again, in a lot of ways. And so it's the script is you're getting them back to their motivation. Why wouldn't we get them to their motivation when they're saying, "Oh my gosh, interest rates are 6.5"? Well, you want to move here because this is a school district that you want to raise your kids in for the next 15 years. Why would we make a decision based on what's today? And I'm sure you've got stuff, everybody's got stuff out there that says, if I wait for interest rates to go back down to 6 and prices go here, I might be saving $12 a month in my payment to have waited, and I missed out on the appreciation. But people don't logically think like that. And what happens is we start thinking about that way in this room, but the consumer doesn't. When the Fed makes a rate cut, and we've been talking about this in real estate for eons, you'll probably get calls like, hey, should I refinance? The Fed just cut rates. Well, we know it doesn't have a direct correlation, but the consumer, if they're not in real estate all the time, they don't think about that until they're thinking about real estate. And so it's our job to educate and ask good questions. Awesome. That concludes our mastermind.
So earlier you had like the graph where it shows the dip in sales and then it went up right from the last market crash, and even right now our sales numbers have gone down. And you mentioned that people started, preparing before the dip so that they could be there for the business. Like, where do you see it going? Where should we concentrate on?
Yep.
Like, lead generation is such a broad concept, right? So,
Yep.
like, where should we focus on so that we could get the business once this is over? Because we know that's going to pop back up. It's a matter of time, right?
We can say that the 2020, 2021, 2022 were overinflated because of cheap money and more cash. We went from literally people having the most savings in history to the lowest amount of savings in history within a year, right? Which goes back to the same as ever conversation. People, when they couldn't go out and spend, their savings account got bigger. When they could go out and spend, all of a sudden, it dropped down, and their credit card spending went up. So the thing that I look at is where I was going with the overinflated on the amount of homes that we're selling because of what was happening in the economy. We've essentially, since the peak, taken 2 million transactions. So let's even say it's 1 million transactions that would have normally happened. If we've taken 1 million additional transactions nationwide off the board for the last 3 years, and more than likely again this year, those are people that are delayed gratification, right? I love my 3%, so I'm not going to sell my house. Interest rates are 6.5%, so I'm not going to buy a house. That's got to pop on the other side where people are just, we started to see it a little bit where people are like, I've waited for 3 years to sell my house to go move to where I want to be. I'm tired of waiting. So for me, it goes back to, I think there's little niches in there, but it just goes back to the math equation of how many people are in my database. Let me see if I can pull something up real quick. That's why, like, I don't geek out on numbers. Like, I would never be a CPA or an accountant or a bookkeeper. I could probably do it, but I not want to do it really badly, really fast. Where I like numbers is it gives me the strategy to win. Right? Everything is a math equation. If I want to lose weight, for example, there is a mathematical formula to losing weight. If I have a 3,500 calorie per week deficit, I will lose 1 pound of fat per week. That's 500 calories per day. And what happens when most people are going on vacation? They want to lose weight to look good in a bathing suit to go on vacation, right? And the guys think it too, just so you know. We might not say it out loud, but we think it. And we say by some miracle we end up like in 3 weeks, we did the juice cleanse and the 70-day fast or 72-hour fast or whatever. We lose the weight and go on vacation. What happens when we come back from vacation? We're right back where we were, if not a few extra pounds, right? So the thing that I point out, so that's a math equation. Now every body is different, so we might have to tweak little things here and there, but that's kind of a general rule of thumb. What I tell people is, what if we made it instead of 500 calories, and that immediate weight that we needed to lose, what if we made it 250 calories, cut it in half? That's a quarter of a crumble cookie. Right? Everybody sees the nutritional facts on a crumble cookie and it says 250 calories. 4 servings per cookie, right? So a whole cookie is 1,000 calories. Pretty crazy, right? That's why they're so good. So if I cut out a crumble cookie or if I went for a walk and burned 250 calories, I just did that every day. What's that?
Sugar is the enemy, sorry.
Sugar is the enemy. So that's why I had a cookie before I got up here. But if we do 250 calories and we do that over the course of the year, it's something so insignificant you wouldn't even realize you were doing it. At the end of the year, I would have lost 26 pounds.
Wow.
In a way that is so sustainable, right, that I would lose it and I wouldn't put it back on because things happen gradually and suddenly. And so that's where I look at anything in life. What's my 250 calories? So to answer your question, I look at things going, this business is a math equation. If I want to make X amount of dollars, I know how many homes, like I said this in the class, right? I know how many homes I need to sell. I can back it all the way down to how many contacts I need to make per day. And that's where I think a lot of, like when I joined my first real estate brokerage, the manager said, welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle, there's your phone, good luck. That was it. And I went into him and I said, so what do I do now? Well, you need to lead generate. Well, what's lead generation? Well, hold an open house. I don't have any listings. How do I hold an open house? Go talk to one of the top agents. Went and talked to Susie Pierce. Susie Pierce, the #1 agent in the office. Went and talked to her. She goes, I got this listing and this listing. I said, can I do that one on Saturday, the other one on Sunday? And she literally looked at me funny because most agents wouldn't ask to do both listings over the weekend. They would want one or the other and do one day. And then I said, oh, by the way, I don't have any open house signs. Can I use yours? Right? And so like over all these years, this is a very long-winded way to get to the answer to your question. But over all the years I've been doing this, I've had people say, well, I can't hold an open house because I don't have business cards or open house signs yet. Well, I don't need my business cards because my job is not to give my contact information. My job is to get their contact information. Obviously, I would want my branding out in the neighborhood, but I'd rather have leads and business today versus waiting to have more open house signs with my name on it. First open house I did, people came in and they walked in and they go, wow, this house is beautiful. It's just way too big. I said, well, I'm holding another one open tomorrow that's 1,600 square feet. That's great. What's the address? Here's the address. Okay, great. See you tomorrow. What did I screw up on? I didn't get their information, right? I gave them the address, told them what time. Fortunately, they showed up. They came in, Ken and Janet Towski, my first sale ever.
You always remember your first.
Absolutely. They were amazing. And so I'm holding an open house, and they come in. They're like, Patrick, it's so good to see you. This house is actually perfect. We'd like to write an offer. Great. So here, I've been in the business in residential real estate for all about maybe a week and a half. That's awesome. So why don't I do this? Where do you guys live? Oh, and this is in Natoma, so just by the Sacramento airport. They lived in Elk Grove, which is about 30 minutes away. Here's what we'll do. I'll finish the open house, then I'll come down to your house and we'll write the offer. Well, can't we just write something up right now? I was like, in my brain, I'm going, I've never written a contract before. I don't know what to do. This is exactly what we should do, right, Steve? Fake it till you make it? No. There's another quote that says, when the opportunity presents itself, it's too late to prepare, right? I knew I had great people that would support me, so I said, no, it's way easier for me to finish the open house and come down to your house. And so they somehow bought that line. I get in the car, and this is back when you had the carbon copy. You used to have the little accordion file folder in your car with extra purchase contracts and listing contracts, just in case. And so I drive down to their house, and we're filling out the paperwork. And you go, oh, by the way, we need to sell our house too. That's great. So what I'll do is I'll take this back to the office, I'll fax in the offer, and then I'll come back down, and we'll fill out the listing paperwork. Because I didn't know how to fill out a listing, right? So all I have to say is, like, lead generation is lead generation. Just find a way to build the contacts. And where I was going is, if we know all the way down to how many contacts we need to make, where my manager, awesome guy, did me a tremendous disservice, he did give me a purpose each day. And what I mean by that is for me to be able to come in and know I need to make X amount of contacts every single day or nothing else matters. I need to get them into my database. And the thought process was, I don't care if this person's buying in 6 weeks, buying tomorrow, or in 6 years. They're going in my database, they're going on some sort of touch plan, because I know every action I do today, it's going to compound just like the 250 calories. If I do an open house and get 20 contacts in my database, or 2 contacts in my database, I might have 2 transactions 10 years from now from the work I did today. If I keep doing that, it's just going to compound. So I'm going to pull something up. No. I have to remember what domain I gave it. And it's a Windows computer. I'm not used to Windows.
I'm just technologically, yeah.
Okay, I found it. So I told you guys I teach business planning clinic for Keller Williams, right? And so one of the things I did was I took, because this is what business planning clinic's all about. It's how do we create our plan so we can reverse engineer our outcome, right? And what happens is people come into real estate and they go, I want to, what do most agents want to make when they're brand new to the business?
Money.
Money, but how much?
100,000.
100,000, right?
Take home.
Take home. Well, they don't, they think that, but they don't understand the difference between gross and net. Then they make 100,000 and they're like, why do I have nothing in my bank account? Right? And so like the whole thing is, how do I reverse it? Or they come into the business and say, I want to make 100 grand. I had a guy, he was in my office, he goes, Patrick, when I make 100 grand, I'm going to quit my job at the county. He made 250 grand in his first year.
Yay.
Do you think he quit his job at the county?
I hope so.
Because he didn't execute a plan, so he didn't know exactly what he did to make $250,000 and therefore didn't have confidence, or he had uncertainty about how he was going to do that, and that now the risk of quitting his job was too great. If he knew exactly what he did, his daily activities, I made 5 contacts per day and I made 250 grand, he would know that's duplicatable, right? But he just didn't have that understanding. So what I built was this whole site. So you put in your name and information, and then you got your economic model. So you got your income goal, so 100 grand. Let's see real quick. So net income goal is 100 grand. If your cost of sales, you guys familiar? This is like a little training here, which is I guess what it's supposed to be, right? Okay, do you understand what cost of sales are? You have expenses and cost of sales. Cost of sales is essentially anything that is directly related to the transaction itself. Expenses is just your overall business expenses. So like your split and fees to Keller Williams will be part of your cost of sales. Referral fees you pay out, cost of sales. Okay. If I'm a millionaire real estate agent with $1 million GCI, gross commission income, the model is 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses, and 40% is profit. So in order for me to make $1 million net, I have to have like $2.3 million in commissions. Follow me on that? Okay. And different benchmarks, my costs and my cost of sales and my expenses are going to be different. As a brand new licensee, my expenses were here because I just didn't have any money to spend. I had an abundance of time, which is why I did door knocking and open houses. I went to my title rep and she said, we were talking about doing mailers because all the agents back then did mailers. One guy had this giant printing machine in his office to mass produce all the mailers for everybody with labels and everything. And he did it for all the Keller Williams in Sacramento. And so I went to my title rep and I said, hey, I want to send out some mailers. And she goes, okay, what do you want? I said 95835. What neighborhood in 95835? I said, no, I want all of it. Bad idea. It was like 8,000 labels. And they didn't give you a CSV file that you could merge and have somebody else take care of it. It's like, you got a printout of labels. I put so many labels on postcards, my fingerprints wore off my thumbs. It was miserable. And then with that, I had enough money to do how many mailers? 1. And I had 1 call. I know we're not supposed to talk about commissions, but essentially 1 call called Bananas, okay? Guy called me up, he goes, hey, we're thinking about selling our house. How much do you charge to sell a house? I said, I charge 6 bananas. He said, thank you, click. Right? Lesson learned. You don't answer that question over the phone with that, right? So I've made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. So as you're starting out, your expenses and your cost of sales are going to be different. As you grow your business, those expenses could climb and you'll have peaks and valleys where expenses get higher as I'm going here, and then they drop back down on the total business. So going in here, say I want $100,000 in net income, cost of sales is 30%, operating expenses, we'll leave it at that just for easy math. We'll say, what's your average commission here? 20? Okay, let's go conservative just for this. Let's do 15. Okay? So if I do 15,000 is my average, that means I need to close 17 units to net $100,000. Okay? It's a little over 1 a month. Then I can put in what percentage is seller side, what percentage is buyer side. Right? So if I'm buyer heavy, seller heavy. Right here, so this seller conversion rates, appointment, so how many from the listings I take, how many are going to sell from the appointments I go on, how many are going to sign. Okay? And these are the conversion rates right out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent on both sides. And then it tells me how many appointments I need. So I need 16 on the seller side and 17 on the buy side. Based on that, in order in one monthly, one weekly. Or one per month on both sides of that equation in order to make $100,000. Do you follow me on that, or did I get a little confusing? So if I know I need to have one buyer appointment, one seller appointment every single month in order to make $100,000 based on that, I have purpose every single day. Right? And so we talk about, this is where I'll differ a little bit from the MREA. We'll talk about 3 hours of lead generation every single day. What if my lead generation was just to set an appointment? If I set one in 15 minutes, I could be done for the day. If it takes me 7 hours, it takes me 7 hours. You know what would be crazy is if I set one appointment per day, you'd be like one of the top 1% of agents in the country. Your production would be, if we went through the math on if you set one appointment per day, your income would be through the roof. All we're talking about is one appointment on each side of this equation per month. Now, if we go up here, and we say, I want to make $500,000. Now it's 83 needed, which means that I need to go on 14 appointments monthly and 4 appointments per week. Follow that math? More or less? Now, if I get better, if I go on appointments and I convert my listing appointments better than 75%, this gets easier. If I convert my closings from the listings I take to sold better than 70%, this gets easier. So if I make incremental changes, that's that compounding effect. So just for example, let's say I now close 85% of the listings I take, and I get 85% converted. Now I only need 5 appointments per month, or 1 per week. You guys see where I'm going with this? Have I lost you guys? Okay. What I want you to take away from this is that this business is actually so freaking simple. It's what happens up here that causes us to not take the actions that cause us to have the lifestyle that we want, which is why we got into real estate to begin with. Now in this calculator, I'm going to change this back. 70 and 75. So I have this thing, the life worth living adjuster, which then modifies this. So instead of basing this out of 12 months of the year, sorry.
It's okay.
We're going to base on 10 months out of the year. So now see how that shifted where I have to go on 8 appointments and 9 per month? So that means that you would now do all this business in 10 months, meaning that you would have 2 months out of the year to be on vacations, going to training events, and not actually doing the business. That's what we talk about, being intentional with your activities. Some of the best agents, like, here's what's crazy, you talk about, hey, we're all going to mega camp in August, and people say, oh, I can't, I'm too busy. And you go there, and there are people that I promise you are doing way more business than me, you, anybody else that are there, and they're not just there, they're at everything. There's probably a reason why that they're there, is success leaves clues. But they also know the math equation. There was an agent, Michael Soares, the other one that owned the neighborhood. He was part of the recruiting that brought me over to Keller Williams, right? I thought he owned his own brokerage, Michael Soares, because Michael Soares is this big, Keller Williams this big. And so he was one of the owners of the office that I became my first team leader job. He was one of the owners, and he would always walk into the office. He always sold between 150 and 200 transactions per year. He'd walk in the office. He has Alex P. Keaton briefcase. Anybody remember Alex P. Keaton? Michael J. Fox back in the day. Family Ties. So he'd walk in. It was one of those briefcases, like you had the 2 combo things, pops open. Every day walking with his briefcase, wouldn't say anything to anybody, go right in his office, put his headset on, and start dialing. It's like, man, what a jerk. Like, he seemed really nice when I was thinking about coming over here, and now he doesn't talk to anybody. And one day I pulled him aside, I'm like, hey, Mike, like, you come in the office, you don't say anything to anybody, people, you're an owner, it'd be great if you were a little social. I'm like, walked around and maybe gave people a pat on the back, a little encouragement, taught a class once in a while. And he goes, Patrick, I love this office. I love the people in here. But do you know who I love more? My family. He said, I know what I need to do every day in order to make my goal. I come in, I make this many calls. I do that Monday through Thursday. When I'm done with making that many calls, I go and knock on this many doors, Monday through Thursday. Every Friday, I play golf with my friends. Saturdays and Sundays, I don't work. Pretty cool, right? He's like, in fact, one of the things that we do is on Mondays, this guy, he has a classic Corvette restored down to like the serial numbers on the bolts. He's got Ferraris, he's doing okay. In Granite Bay, he's got his house. Then the other side of Granite Bay, he's got a whole warehouse where he keeps his cars and everything. Say, Patrick, what I do every Monday is me and the boys, when they were younger, we go to the warehouse, we throw on Monday Night Football, and we start shooting pool. At halftime, we go home, and we have dinner as a family with my wife every Monday night. That's really cool. Later on, I found out he bought two, as his kids got older, he bought 2 beachfront timeshares in Maui. He's like, I know that my kids are gonna have their own families and everything, so I wanted to have this so that they knew they always had a place to go vacation, and I had an excuse to be with my family. Like, that's really cool. Different perception of them, right? And one of the other things, he was big into duck hunting. During duck hunting season, he only worked 3 days a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was duck hunting, Friday was still golf. 150 to 200 transactions per year without fail. I can't tell you how many open houses I held that had a Michael Suarez notepad on the fridge. Right? He hit the neighborhood like clockwork. Everybody knew the notepad. The point I'm making is he knew the math equation, which allowed him to have that life by design as well, because he knew the math equation for the business we're owning. Follow that? Okay. Kind of cool, right? In here, we got our lead gen. So I won't dive into that because you could have, like, people are making way more transactions off social media. Like, you gotta be on social media now. That's just like, I struggle with it. I don't have a problem with being on social media. I have a problem with the time to do the thing to be on social media, right? I'm totally fine making an idiot of myself. I'm okay with that. I do it daily. YouTube, you think about where AI is going. Your Google business page, the reviews on there. Your YouTube, like people are posting Instagram shorts and reels, Facebook shorts and reels, stories, YouTube shorts. Who owns YouTube? Google. Who owns your Google business profile? Google. When somebody types into Gemini, I'm thinking about selling my house in Fremont, who should I call? Where are they probably gonna go? Probably first to one of their platforms, right? So there's a reason that you wanna be out there. I mean, we could go, like, there used to be a class that a friend of mine taught, it was called 101 lead generation tactics. And literally he would come into the room with an easel, with a sheet on there, and he would just have the room start spitting off ideas that they could do to lead generate. And within about 10 minutes, they had their 101 ways to lead generate. And the point he was making is we could come up with 5 million ways to lead generate. We just have to pick 1 or 2 and do it. Here's the other piece of the business planning. So you have your database. So this is where my activities daily, so if I'm making 3 or 4 new contacts per day, like we talked about how many appointments I need to have, that's based on how many contacts I'm making per day to get those appointments. The flip side of that is how many new contacts am I making to put into my database that I could be contacting every single day, right? When I'm going to my kid's soccer game, meeting the parents on the soccer team, whatever that is, those are new people that's adding more to the 250 calories per day. So if I go into my database, let's say I have 1,500 people in my database. Actually, let's go back. Go here, we'll make this 250. All right, so let's say I have 1,500 contacts in my database right now. In my database in Command. I'm gonna take a little, over the years, here's what I'll say about Command, because when I say Command, I get all kinds of like People love it, people hate it, people use it, people don't use it. There's a couple things I can say on that. I don't know any software company that has rolled out a platform like a CRM out there for real estate agents to 170,000 people on the same day. Most companies that we go, oh, this CRM is better, they rolled it out to 5 people, then 100 people, and grew it up and worked all the kinks out. We rolled it out day one, so yeah, there were a lot of kinks in it from day one, but we also rolled it out to 170,000 people, which amplified the kinks, right? And what I've observed over many years is there's a lot of people that have heard the stories about Command and don't use it today because of the stories. And now they're not using any database or CRM at all. You got to use something because it's very easy for us to sit here and go, I bump into you 3 times this week, but then I don't see you for another 6 months because our schedule's just off. We need some sort of, especially if we have 1,500 people in our database, we need some structure on how we're going to stay in touch with those people. That's where the CRM comes into play. Okay, so here we got 1,500 people in our database. Let's say 6% of the population, because people stay in their homes 7 to 10 years on average. Let's say 6% of the population moves every year. Let's say you convert 50%. So 6% of your database is going to move, and you convert 50% of that 6%. Follow that? So out of 1,500, you're going to have 90 people actually do transactions, and that means you're going to convert 45. So you're going to do 45 transactions from having 1,500 people in your database on a consistent follow-up plan. And a consistent follow-up plan is not your monthly newsletter, and it's not the automated text messages. It also includes picking up the phone and having conversations. And it doesn't have to be, who do you know that's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? I wouldn't want that call. It could, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, that's better.
So what we found is to make $250,000 net, we need 82 appointments. Appointments from database, 45. Your gap in appointments is 37. See the math equation? Which means I need to add 1,240 people to my database. This gives you how many per month, per week, per day. I need to add 3.5 contacts in my database per day to be on pace. Now imagine if I just built a habit to add 3.5 people. Feel sorry for that half person. But imagine I just set a goal of like, I need to add 3 people to my database every single day. And I did that for 10 years. My business would be through the roof just having a consistent touch plan to my database. We have built our business on autopilot. Have I lost y'all? Are we good?
Yes.
It got quiet. Everybody's like just thinking.
Well thinking.
I want to make this. I want to take this in a path that makes it simpler, not more complicated. Like I want to get to this place where it's like, I see just if I could do the math, I know exactly what I need to do to have the outcome I want, and it's going to compound every year for me to grow. If we factor in, this might be the part that confuses you. If we factor in the referrals that we get from our database, let's say 4% of our database sends us a referral and we convert 50% of those. Now we only have a gap of 7. So we get a certain amount from our database, and then a certain amount our database refers us somebody. Now we have to make less than 1 contact added to our database per day. Here's where we take this. When a chiropractor or a dentist sells their practice, what are they truly selling? Their book of business, their database, their clients. For us to be able to say, I've got a database of X amount of people that generates this much in revenue per year, you have a sellable asset. You have an exit strategy from the business. Point to Steve over there. Yeah. Here's what's crazy. Susie Pierce, the one I told you about with the open houses, I went to her because what's funny is the manager of Coldwell Banker, Susie ended up becoming the manager. And the previous manager of Coldwell Banker, I went to him like, I'm getting so busy. I see the Michael Soares team. I see all this stuff about teams. How do I build a team? I don't know how to build a team. He goes, well, I probably shouldn't do this, but, and he reaches over to his bookshelf and grabs a copy of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it was Cole Banker, and he has me the MREA. That was the beginning of the end. Yep. And so I went to Susie when she became the manager because she didn't want to sell anymore. Bye, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
No, you're good. I went to Susie because she didn't want to sell anymore. She wanted to be the manager. I said, hey, can I buy your book of business? She went, what do you mean? So, well, you've been selling here for the last 10 years. You are the top agent in this neighborhood at Cole Banker. Like, can I buy your database and pay you a referral fee on anything I get from it? It's like, well, I don't have a database. Would you be willing to pull all of your files, like all the file folder boxes that you have at your banker's boxes you have at your house? I will go through them and pull all the contact information. I will find all the names of the past transactions, and we can go through it, pull it all together. That just seems like a lot of work. I'm like, good grief, here's something like, I love Susie Pierce to death, and she was my real estate mom. She was the person who taught me how to make a CMA. Like my first listing appointment, I was like, sure, I'll see you at 6 o'clock. I'm like, what do I do now? She took me to the back drop-in station. Like everything's on the internet now. She took me to the back drop-in station where Lightning CMA was, that was like $1,500 per computer, and taught me how to do a CMA. Just, what I'm about to say, I'm justifying it. I knew I had to go to a different brokerage when she said that she didn't have a sellable book of business as my leader, right? In the sense of she wasn't thinking that way. It wasn't necessarily that she didn't have it. It was that she was like, I was confusing her by the conversation, and she had been in business for so long. And so that's where I look at this and go, okay, if we're going to really build an asset, why wouldn't we do the math equation to get there? So if you want this, I can give you guys a link to this if you want to tinker around with it and put your data in there and see what the math equation looks like for you. I built that with AI, by the way. AI. I literally took the business planning clinic, I uploaded it into AI, and I said, I need a web-based app that does all the exercises from the business planning clinic. And it made this. Pretty crazy, right?
That's good. Question.
What platform did you use?
I started off in Lovable with that, but then I switched over to I want to say I switched over to Claude. I mean, and now with the web stuff like Manus, Claude, OpenAI's new Codex, there's so many good ones out there. If you guys haven't played around with ChatGPT's image generator, their new one, it's crazy good. And here's a trick: if you want to build a website or anything like that, you go in and you say, using your latest image generator, will you give me 3 mock-ups of this website idea? And then you finalize the mock-up of it, and then you say, will you now create that? If you ask it to create it, it might not look as good as the image generator made it look. So, what was your question?
625,000 to get to 250. There's something doesn't make sense to me. What am I missing?
So, because it has the cost of sales at 30%, like the operating expenses at 30%.
Are you accounting for 100% capping?
That's in your cost of sales. So this is based right out of the MREA. So each agent is going to be different. So that's why I can apply the benchmarks out of the MREA for this, or I can put in my own. So I'll give you an example. I've got an agent, Chico. She makes about $700,000 a year, and her she makes over $1 million and keeps $700,000. So her profit margin is 70%, which is relatively unheard of. And it's because she runs her business completely different than the MREA. So
seems like a lot.
What's
400,000?
If we do,
Really?
Not really.
Because the 250 is before taxes. It's your take home. Your take home is 250.
It just seems high to me.
I mean, if you have $1 million, you figure 70% expense is 30% profit. 30% profit is awesome on a business. Like if you generate sales, let's suppose you're selling widgets. Sell $1 million. If you sell $1 million of widgets, you're going to have the cost of making the widgets, distributing them, all that stuff. If you walk away with 300,000, you've done good. 30% profit margin based on your revenue. So The 2.5 million in that picture is total sales revenue before splits. It's before your splits with the brokerage, it's before all your operating expenses. So if Patrick wants to make $1 million, he needs to actually generate 2.5.
I need to generate 2.5 to make $1 million.
Commissions.
Yeah, because you're gonna have your cost of sales, you're gonna have your expenses. Like a 40% profit margin in real estate is a pretty solid one.
Yeah,
but
that's
again,
cool.
But again, everybody's business is gonna be run differently. The thing that I like what Gary said is, if you're outperforming the model, great. If you're not, use the model. So, like Alicia Simpkins up in Chico, she has 70% profit margin. She also, like, her whole world is real estate, so I would not want to run her business. I would not want to run my business like her business, right? So it's all just choices and whatnot. And odds are, here's where the cost of sales goes up, as going a little bit into the deeper end. If I have a team, every buyer's agent or agent on my team is more cost of sales, because I'm paying out, say, 50% to each one of them. So the cost, that would be cost of sales. We're diving into a deeper business planning clinic over here. I'm happy to chat more about that. Yeah.
Solo agents are going to be much lower because you won't have all the time. Watching your business grow, you're going to want to buy your time back, and that's where your expenses will show.
Yep, exactly. Okay. So that's, your cost of sales go up because you the additional people on your team, because you start looking at going.
I'm single agent.
Yeah.
I'm solo, but it just seems high.
But this is going to show you, I need to do 167 transactions in order to make that, right? And so if I need to do 167 transactions, how many of us would want to do 160 transactions by ourselves?
No.
We need other people, so.
Well, especially at 15,000
Just save it.
commissions, that's low.
Okay. What did you guys, are we at time? Okay, what did you guys think? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Again, like, I'll just leave you with this. I'm super passionate about this. I said this earlier. I'm passionate about this industry. I have bought additional market centers against my wife's better judgment at times, because I believe in this industry to help. Like, it just changes lives. It does. And the hard part that I have, and this is where I get passionate about, is people get into this industry to change their lives, and then they enjoy the freedom of their schedule a little bit too much and don't actually do the activities because of what's going on up here. It's not rocket science. It's a very simple business. It's just getting out of our own way and doing the activities. It really is just that. So I mean, I could give you all kinds of cool stuff to do, but just go out and talk to people.
That's right.
We don't have to overcomplicate it.
If you share that with me, I'll share it with everybody else.
Yep.
What about the
Slides. Oh, yeah, the slides. Oh, we have the slides. We have the slides, yeah.
The slides and link I have. This is not in the, I'll just leave. Of course you did. Yeah, I'll leave it up there too. So one of the things that we're doing with this is we're using this for coaching and consulting. I built this, we're using it for coaching and consulting our agents. Thing for leadership here is I also set up one that they can build it all out, but to get their final results, they need to have a conversation with a team leader. So anybody that's not with us yet, like everybody inside gets all the secret sauce. Anybody outside needs to have a conversation with Tina before they can get the full boogie. All right, cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I've had a blast. It's always fun to come to new, like being in this regional role, it's been awesome to come out and meet new agents and see old faces and all that kind of stuff. So, thank you. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna get a picture, send it to Kelly.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Which lead gen worked for me? I mean, mine was open houses and door knocking. It was really the biggest thing, and that's where I spent almost all.
Because he knows Kelly. Yeah, right.
One second, let me.
Smile. 1, 2, 3.
Thanks.
Door knocking, just what I would do is, one, like, I'll show you this.
seeing you again,
Take a
and nice
picture.
meeting
I
you.
like this.
If I go to my contacts,
Yeah, so many contacts. But everybody knows that I'm agent, so do you think like I need to call and?
oh yeah.
Let them know that you're
I
still the
get- I
agent.
Like I've
They'll
got,
get mad.
in my phone, I've got 4,000 contacts in my database, right? Am I staying in touch with them to remind them that they, whenever they have a real estate question, they need to think of me?
So, but they already know, right, your agent?
They do, but are they